Brother Edison.
Hey, Marnie, how are you doing?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm pretty good, pretty good, very good, in fact. I
I am
haven't thought of
so
anything to upset myself today, so I'm pretty
bless
good. Go
you.
ahead.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to have you back on the show. So glad.
Okay,
Yes. So, um, we're going to talk today about an area that tends to be it's vast, but at the same
okay,
time, it's it's one of those areas where sometimes, well, not sometimes, a lot of the times people are struggling with, and
okay.
I particularly want to ask you this about this particular subject because of the work that I do and
hmm
the questions that come up. And I'm literally going to put questions to you, Brother Edison, that come
Okay,
to me, and see what
okay,
you make of it.
okay.
So,
No
Brother
problem.
Edison, let's start. Let's tell people what this question is. Relationships, and we're talking about romantic
Oh,
relationships.
okay. The more difficult one or the more confusing one, um, as it would appear. But yes,
As it would appear, as it would appear. I mean, okay, what we're going to do, just
go
we're going
ahead.
to open it up and we're going to, you're going to find, you're going to do what you do. So, what is, Brother Edison, what is a relationship?
A relationship. I only say that in the sense that people are of the sort of belief that, especially in a romantic nature, that a relationship is something which people meet together, find each other physically attractive, mentally attractive on a certain level, and then come together, and then from there they sort of move forward with their lives together, so to speak. That is the end plan, but in reality, it's often something quite different. It depends where your mind is at to determine what kind of people that you're going to attract and what type of people that are going to choose you as their partner or as their mate. So relationships, as they say, in my understanding, is more of a sort of mental connection between two people,
Hmm. Hmm.
where two people come together both in a good place. And from that good place, their job is to inspire each other to be better people and to be better, to improve, to enhance their souls. And each person inspires the other person to be more, and the other one inspires the other person to be more. So both of them work out. There's like a tag team pulling each other forward
Hmm.
within their own development, um, sharing that sort of path together. That's my concept of relationship. It sounds a little long-winded, but essentially it's not the concept of what you see, it's what you want.
No, I don't think it's long-winded at all. I actually feel that we don't, and when I say we, I mean people in general, don't actually spend enough time focusing on the groundwork.
Yes.
And that I think is the big problem. You know,
Okay.
Brother Edison, when two people, and when you look at, say, mind, how vast the mind is, and when you have two people that is on different wavelengths mind wise,
Yes.
what, can you illustrate or can you give your spiritual take on what can happen in such a situation?
Well, in imbalance, you're obviously going to create strife, and there's going to be an additional need for the other person to give, sometimes more than they have, to maintain the balance of the relationship. So if somebody is looking for a relationship as a way to heal themselves or feel better about themselves, the other person in the relationship might not actually get what they need from the relationship.
Hmm.
As a lot of people have, initially you see the person wonderful, they look great, they look this, they look that. And when you see them, you get a certain sensation, a feeling from that person, like to say, oh, that person feels so nice. If I'm around that person all my life, I'm going to find that I'm going to be happy every single day. The truth is, you're looking at your own imagination. You're looking at your own fantasy that you create for that person. what you often find is, as soon as you get to know them, they're not quite the person you imagine in your mind. And the way that you used to feel when you see them becomes less and less potent as time goes by.
You know, well, that's interesting you talk about that, because when we think of things like, you know, the beginning stage, we got a name, you know, in the infatuation stage, the honeymoon stage. So what you're saying there is people have an idea, and then they project that idea onto an individual that looks a certain way, or that says certain, you know, that acts a certain way, or that, or they might get a feeling when they see that person, or when that person speaks to them. Because one of the things that has been said is that women tend to, you know, it's the words that has been said. This is one of the reasons why they like novels and movies and all this stuff. But men are more visual. So do you feel that people already have an inbuilt idea of what they want the relationship or that person to be? And do you think they, in the infatuation stage, they sort of, you know, have that in mind and you know, believe this is what this person is, and then one day this person shows up as who they really are, and it's nothing like what they thought? And why do people do that? Why don't people just see people for who they are? Why do they decide who they think they are, and then later on wake up to who they really are?
What I would say is, first of all, people really fall in love with the actual person they're with.
Oh my God, say that again.
People really fall in love.
They rarely. They hardly.
Hardly.
Oh my.
True. They fall in love with the idea they created for that person.
Oh my God.
So the idea that they've created of that individual, what that person's going to do, how the person's going to make them feel, they fall in love with that idea. Because as soon as they have that image in their mind, it creates a certain sensation throughout their whole body. And like an addict, that sensation becomes like a drug. So whenever they see that person, they feel, oh, I've seen that person, I feel so good. Whenever they speak to that person, speaking to a person is a very intimate act. You know, people don't appreciate how you have to process the person's tone of voice, their mood, everything, the words that they say. All of these things have an impact on you physically and make you feel a certain way when you hear them. And that way you become attached to the frequency that is generated from that person's voice, that person's presence, and the hope that you have for that person and for what the things they're going to do in the future. So people fall in love with the whole idea of the person. And obviously from meeting them, you can't actually pick up everything that is connected to them. So once you've fallen in love with the idea of that person, it's a case where, you know the old saying, when you're at the top, the only way is down. Okay? And sometimes you meet people that will surprise you. They're just really showing you the surface side of them, but they're much deeper, they're much richer, they're much more involved. And those are the people that you hope you meet when you've got to that point in yourself. Because the more that you understand about yourself, the more that you can see inside somebody else.
You know, and that, you know, when you say that, that's the saying of, you know, wisdom is knowing other people, but enlightenment is knowing yourself. And
you have to know yourself.
Yeah, and it seems to me as well, one of the things that I feel that I've, you know, in terms of what I do for work and even in life experiences and just being on the planet for a certain amount of, you know, decades, is that you have to as a person, you have to kind of know who, as you say, know who you are, but you also have the way to know who you are is through interacting with other people, particularly in loving romantic relationships. That's where people really get to experience the real core of who they are. Do you not think, brother Edison? Do you not think that?
Yes and no.
Oh,
in that
okay.
there's the same
that build up, and then it's
we're sorry about that. It's a fantastic build up, and I can't knock it. And in reality, it leads into the saying that I have, that people get into relationships to fall back in love with themselves.
Well, yes. Well, actually,
And so that sort of concurs with what you're saying, in the
Yes,
sense that when they can see the love in the other person's eyes for them, they allow themselves to literally feel good or better about themselves. So again, it's like anyone who shows you that, you know, excitement when they see you, you kind of want to gravitate towards them, because that person is making you feel that you're allowed to let go of the sort of aspirations or the moment, because a lot of people are suffering under the whole concept of they need to have achieved something or have something or belong to something or own something before they can allow themselves to be happy.
Right.
And this is a misconception, because in reality, you're basically living to other people's ideas of who you should be, not your own. So relationships are one of those kind of things where if you've gone through moments where people have rejected you, treated you unfairly, when you see somebody that looks at you like, you know, you're actually a different form of light, you're the sun come out, you're everything that they could have imagined. So when you see someone looking at you like that, you can fall in love with that feeling that you get from them. And especially if they fit into the criteria of what you call your type, which is one of the most confusing concepts ever created, because your type is a amalgamation of all the different people that you've seen that you've liked. So when a guy says, "Oh, this woman's my type," he's basing it on an older girlfriend or some image that he saw on TV that he fell in love with the idea of. So when he sees that person, he reconnects to that old memory or that old energy. And the same thing for a woman when she says, "He's my type, I like them tall, I like them this." She's basing it again on an old situation or some old idea that she fell in love with in earlier times.
Yeah.
And people pick their partners depending on what age they are. Someone who's slightly younger is going to go for a more energetic person. Oh, they're fit, they're this, they're that. Whereas someone that's older is going to go for more of the character of the person, because that's going to be more important to them at that stage of their life.
For sure.
So this whole situation of you need to find how you are, how deep you are inside somebody else. That aspect of it, unfortunately, I have to slightly disagree with. In the sense.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's but I feel, especially if we look at where we are in the Western world and the way relationships are sold, people, if people are single, people actually, you know, kind of have a, it's almost like they think, well, what's going on? Why, you know, well, why people get, you know, this is, you're told, or you're sold this thing of relationship is the answer to everything, you know. So in that respect, I feel that, you know, for people, it's that's what happens. They find themselves, because when you're on your own, you're just you're just you just feel like, you know. But it's when as soon as you come together with the other, that's when all the triggers and, you know, things start coming through. And it's like, that's what, you know, you might feel great by yourself, but when you come together with somebody else, that's when whatever's inside that is not been balanced will be triggered by the other. And, you know, this is when the wounds, the which I call the ego wounds, start coming to the surface.
Excellent. I totally agree with what you're saying. In the respect that, yes, when you get into a relationship, all the dynamics of you which you haven't dealt with, you have an opportunity to either face them, or what a lot of people do, unfortunately, is put the responsibility onto the other person.
Yes.
And
you're not making me happy. Yes.
You're not making me happy, which means that I am unhappy
because
with my
thoughts.
Of
you. Yeah.
And you're not providing. Well, they can blame the other person, but in truth, no. Another person could enjoy totally what that other person is doing. It's up to you. It's your personal preferences and your personal situations. The thing is, it's really based on the relationship you have with yourself. If you have a bad relationship with yourself, getting into a relationship with someone else is not going to help it.
Yeah.
What you're going to end up doing is getting the other person based on who feels weaker in the relationship, because sometimes the guy feels weaker because he's, sexually dependent on the woman, and sometimes the woman feels weaker because she may be financially dependent on the guy.
Can you say that? That's interesting. Sexually dependent on the woman.
Yeah. Yeah, only in the sense that unfortunately the Western world is very terrible with guys. No, it's terrible with guys because guys have got to the point where they no longer are allowed to be happy.
Oh.
It sounds strange. When a
Yes.
guy is happy doing his sports, watching his this, watching his that, he's deemed chauvinistic. He's deemed this, he's deemed that.
Oh.
But if it's a case where he's supposed to be happy, independent, outside of that situation, he has to look to his woman, and if she's happy, then he's allowed to be happy. If you've got an unhappy woman at home, no one's going to say, man, you're doing a great job. They're going to look at you like, you're not doing a great job. How are you not making sure your woman is happy at home? So he now has unfortunately lost part of his own happiness, or how to generate happiness outside of a service dynamic. Because if he's into just doing what he likes to do, he's called selfish straight away.
So are you saying then, Brother Edison, are you saying that there's a lot of pressure put on the man?
Incredible pressure, because if he isn't able to keep his woman happy or keep her feeling like, and he doesn't even understand why, again, she's going to flow into different states of mind, different memories, different feelings. If he doesn't understand all of that, I'm not saying that he's correct in the way that he goes about it, but I'm saying if he's in that situation, he's going to be happy when she's happy. He can release a sense of I've achieved based on how she behaves. Yeah, it's a hard thing because there's a lot of guys literally, confused. They really don't know what to do next. And the problem is, if a guy feels that he's failing, he can't get to his woman to make her happy, and he tries, those are the points where guys can give up. Listen, we've kind of done as much as we can do here. This woman doesn't look like she's budget. There's some situation going on with her that is beyond what we know how to fix. And then he pulls away because the energy of her being happy and showing happiness towards him, he doesn't see anymore. He feels like he's failing and he's not quite sure how to fix it.
You know, I wanted to go back somewhere I wanted to go back to the self, because I always believe and agree with you about that. But I just need to, because you've brought this up, what came to mind was, because I feel that is there something going on with the male, as in, is the system trying to kill off the alpha male, or what they call the alpha male, which is the original male, the way a man was always designed to be? Do you feel that society or the world or the system, or whatever word we want to use, whoever's got the power and is making all these these things difficult, people seem to be struggling? You've got the empowered woman, and then you've got the alpha male, and you've got the metro male. So I don't know if you've heard those terms, the metro male.
I've heard some of those terms. So I don't hold too much stock in them, but I do appreciate them because we need labels, and people tend to find labels to classify where they think they are according to society's interpretation. But
would you say that there is would you say that there is definitely the male as he's always been, and always, do you feel he's been targeted? Do you feel he's been?
Yes, of course.
Because
his frequency has been, they're trying to annihilate the spirit of him, the actual essence of him. He now is unfortunately been, asked to be a provider, and allowed to enjoy what he enjoys now and again. He's deemed as just only sexually competent. He's not actually deemed as mentally competent outside of the bigger groups or the high organizations. They're the only ones that are allowed to be deeper thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that we've gone a bit lost with this whole alpha male thing, because it's normally not always based on his deeper intelligence and deeper understanding. It's more his aggressive or physical prowess. That's really how they perceive it now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You'll find that now most of the alpha male are quite, what do you call, blunt, in the sense that, yes, you're trying to be alpha male to actually protect, to make yourself more attractive to women. But what are you trying to do to protect your community? What are you trying to do to protect the wider world that you're in? How is your understanding or deeper knowledge of life going to bring people forward outside of a physical environment? Outside of, I'm going to fight. If you're not going to fight because you can't fight, what else do you do next? And now for male sort of one, I don't know what to do next. I've got no one to hear. Then what? So therefore, the original alpha males, or the original males, were taught to be much deeper and to have a greater understanding of their environment, their situation, the people that they were with. Ignorance, as they say, is no defense. So the guys were not sort of brought up to stay ignorant. And using force to control the situation will eventually break that situation. So you have to actually know as and when you're firm, when you're soft, when you're actually able to listen and do those things. So I find someone who can hold a group together in harmony and with sort of a loving dynamic, but still have them moving forward with strength. That would be the kind of male that they don't want anymore. They don't want those kind of guys, because those kind of guys can galvanize a group to do more than the group actually believes is possible. So that's the kind of thing that I would prefer to see guys in that vein, as opposed to I'm big, I got muscles, or I'm pretty, or I'm good looking and I can get any girl that I like. Whoopee. That lasts for as long as your physical prowess goes on. Or once you get older, you realize, yeah, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money on a lot of women, but I didn't actually move very forward with myself.
So I mean, and I agree with you. Like whether the alpha male, the mature male, the empowered woman, whoever. It's like you say, it's just so that we can have something, some sort of structure to what we're saying. But I agree with you. These are labels which and labels can be quite dangerous. As you were saying there, do you think that that's the thing? The original man turned whatever he has become. Do you feel as though it's almost like a protection thing? It's so the looking this way with the amazing body or whatever it is that is going on.
Well, the thing is, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I said everything has been reduced to that. Yeah, everything has been reduced to that. Relationships have been reduced to what does the person look like? If I find that person attractive, then I'm going to give my all based on that attraction. Not that that person is competent to actually use your energy and direct it in the right way. Not that that person is going to make your life better in any way. The deeper introspection of yourself, you would know that, hold on, yes, they look good. Let me find out who they are. Let me find out who their story is. But now, in a world where everything is sort of based on sex, religion, law, everything is based on that dynamic. They want to reduce everyone's capacity of thinking to not rise above that sort of criteria, to make that the most important criteria in a society. So, don't get me wrong, protect women's virtues, that's perfectly fine, but the boys are being sort of encouraged to go out and do different, to actually take women's virtues. So that's always been the case, but when they used to have all this courting and all these special arrangements before people physically got together, there was an understanding with all of that. Now it's a case where people can see and do what they like if they've got enough money or they've got enough popularity or what have you, and the damage that they're doing and the situations that they're creating, it's only later on in life that these things come back to meet them. So there needs to be a deeper ground understanding of what people are really getting involved in, in this whole relationship dynamic, because everyone speaks of it. It's natural, it's natural, it's natural, and of course, it is. You'll like someone and you'll feel a certain way when you see them and all that kind of thing. But you know, when you get older, you'll say, okay, the pretty ones, they're nice, but you know, is there substance behind it? You just need to know a bit more about yourself. And as you grow into that understanding, then you start to realize that the type of relationship that you have with yourself will determine the kind of relationships that you're going to have with somebody else.
Okay.
And if you go ahead.
No, carry on. Say that. Finish that point.
Yeah, the type of relationship, like you said. So therefore, if the person is mentally, physically, spiritually, all these different constructive, try and look for as many sort of criteria that the person feels across the board. Not that they're physically, oh yeah, fine, they're physical. Then after you've finished the bedroom dynamic, what next? You sit there, no conversation, nothing to say. And you could be married to this person because you thought that this was going to be your dream person. You know? Or it could be the financial side. The person is all about the money and not about you. You become one of their objects or things that can generate money for them. So that criteria by itself can't actually sustain you as a person. And like you said, the whole concept of people get into relationships to fall back in love with themselves. There's many women that get into relationships to heal other relationships that they've been in. And they're sort of waiting for this guy to get to the point where they trust him enough that they can tell him their real situation, or real thoughts that are happening to them, or situations that have happened to them in the past that they haven't come to terms with. So they're waiting for that point where he says, okay, he loves me now enough that if I tell him, he won't leave me. And that's what they'd be looking for in a situation or in a relationship. So when you say to fall in love and that the guy doesn't judge them, accepts them, treats them the same, then that love that they were holding in themselves, they can allow out for themselves.
Right. Brother Edison, now I've got a plan with this this conversation where it's going. Now I want to go back to the relationship with the self, but then I want to also look at how money plays a part in. So we're going to look at relationship with the self, then how money plays a part in relationship. Then we're going to look at sex and are men and women as promiscuous as each other, are men and women as vulnerable as each other when it comes to that, and also the healing part. We're going to go into that in detail. So listening audience, we have got some topics coming off the back of this, and Brother Edison, Emperor Edison, is going to cover.
I only ever have to look after myself.
He's going to cover. He's going to cover these other parts. So, Brother Edison, let's go to relationship with the self. What does that mean? What does it look like? And what happens when we don't have a good relationship with ourselves?
Well, as we say, a person's personality is based on how well they dealt with their childhood. The incidences where there was that period of life where you had to be dependent on somebody else. And that somebody else, you hope your parents or whatever situation you were in were balanced and fair towards you. And gave you a grounding where you were allowed to grow within yourself without being in a fear dynamic. You know, there's a lot of people that feel that making a child afraid of them, scared of them, instead of respecting them, is the way to go forward, because that's what happened to them. There's dynamics from slavery, there's dynamics from all different situations. So the fact of getting to know yourself initially is being allowed to be yourself. Allow that those innate qualities that you brought from your previous lives, those whole things that came to make you unique and, you know, set apart from everyone else, you're actually allowed to explore those things. Because everyone comes with interest in things that, you know, from a young age, and abilities from a young age, which, again, there's no way they could have conceived them with the little time that they've been here on this earth. So you have those situations where, as you get to know yourself, as you get to deal with some of the situations that you had to deal with in childhood, so to speak, when you get over all those, why someone didn't love you, why someone treated you this way, why now still, even in your adulthood, certain cycles of behavior, situations are still repeating. As you start to go down that road to understand those things, you start to grow to understand that you now have to pull within yourself these memories out, so that now with your more mature type of thinking, you can actually rationalize them in a different way. So when you understand to know yourself, with a good relationship with yourself, you say you're actually good with who you are, with what you want, with how you've been, and with the stories that you've been through. A lot of people mask this. They say that I'm good, which means that they've really just stopped playing those images or those thoughts in their mind. They're not really good, they're just saying they're good, because again, they'll then control their environment so that nothing in that environment can create or trigger a memory from something in their past. That's why you have these controlling people that turn around and say, oh no, you can't say this, don't say that, you can't behave that way, this reminds me of this. And what they're really doing is really the bubble that they created for themselves to live in is based on them never having to face all the thoughts and the memories that they had when they were younger, or when they were older, or when they were mistreated. So when you're coming into a situation where the person really hasn't come to terms with who they are, they're going to be in a situation where they're constantly trying to demand from their partner or from everyone around them that they behave in a certain way around them. So knowing yourself, what it really looks like is that day when you've achieved some sort of peace within yourself, where you don't need to control your environment. You don't need to control everyone around you, because you're not afraid they're going to trigger something that's going to put you in a memory that you can't control. You can't get to that point where all of a sudden, whatever anyone does, you say, well, you know what, you're harming yourself, my friend. You're not actually doing anything that's going to impact on me. And these people are very clever because they get you to accept labels of yourself. So they're going to say you're black, you're white, you're this, you're that, and give you all different, you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're this. And under those labels, if you accept them, then these people can pull you apart with those labels. That old black people supposed to behave this way, white people supposed to, Muslims supposed to behave this way, Christians, Jews supposed to behave that way. And they literally can, just by the fact that you've adopted those things. All these different unique facets you have with themselves can just be disheveled with one word, because now you're caught up in a program which makes you now want to do according to what they've told you you're supposed to do. You know, so you get to the point where you realize everyone can keep all their stories. Everyone can keep all their beliefs. Everyone can keep everything. They choose to follow themselves. You are a unique being, and when you understand that you're the spirit, not the body, you're just walking around in the body. Once you understand that, and you can actually live with that and take yourself deeper inside yourself, then you can actually get to the point where you now know yourself. And you now, when you're getting into a relationship, you have to understand that two spirits are merging. And it's just their physical body doing the interaction, but they're actually the merging of two spirits. And if that person's spirit is not in balance, guess what? Your spirit ends up not in balance. And then before you know, this relationship, no matter how beautiful or beautiful the story of the person is, brings you down. Your life becomes less important to you. You know, earlier you were saying something about joining someone in a relationship, and what happens is you become half of yourself. Sometimes you become half of yourself to become in this relationship, then you end up being a quarter of yourself if that person has a more dominant and aggressive personality, which they're using to try and draw that half of your energy to support them. So they're taking away from you to support them. But because, like we say, each one likes the other one physically or mentally or financially or what have you, each one is being pulled against themselves. So they're a quarter of the person that they was before they got in the relationship. So where they got into the relationship, say, this is going to bring me up, this relationship keeps me down. And it doesn't allow me to flourish and be myself. You might as well say the soul mission they came to do is, it's no longer an issue, because they're not going to focus on that. Now they're going to spend their whole time trying to keep themselves sane in the external world, where the pressure put on them, not only by their partner, but by the society at large, means that they're not allowed to be themselves.
That is powerful. That right there just explains a lot of what, I feel a lot of people are going through. The losing the self in the relationship.
We give ourselves away too cheaply, too freely, just for an idea which can't even fix us. That's the problem. The idea that we're giving ourselves away for can't fix us.
And importantly, what you just mentioned there was, it takes you away from your soul journey, the agreement that you made to come here. You're now spending all your time trying to claim back yourself in the relationship, and not focusing on where you're on your journey. Your journey has come to a standstill, almost.
Standstill. I know, you almost have to follow all these other people's journeys.
Yes.
Because they seem so happy following theirs. They seem so happy, oh, I'm happy doing this. We're all clapping, singing. And then you think, well, I need something better than what I have now. Let me go and join them. And no matter how much you clap, sing, dance, you still feel a little empty inside. You have to fill yourself up with words.
So the hole in your soul is not to be filled with other people, things, or anything like that. It's to be filled with the purpose of you remembering that you're spirit in form.
It's very much the case. The thing is, I can't find something missing in my house in your house. I can't. I can only find something missing in my house by going deeper into my house and looking further, and then I can bring that thing that's missing.
That's right.
No matter how much I search in you, all I'm going to find is what's missing in you.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give myself
to try and fill the other person. Yes.
And then when I fill the other person, I'm hoping that person turns around and say, now you filled me, I will feel you.
And not even that though. What? How can you feel them when it's not that you're not their thing to feel? So they're never going to be satisfied.
A bottomless pit.
Yes.
You spend your whole life trying to fix someone when you can never fix them.
Yeah.
All you can do is maintain them, and you do it at a price that you can't pay. Because you eventually fall down trying to keep that other person happy.
And the system knows this. This is why you have the you have them on the periphery, on the standby, in terms of the legal system, waiting for the the broken marriages, or you've got you've got all these different, or you've got all these everyone's got the remedy, haven't they? Let me help you, we can help you. And so you just end up in that spiral of just going round and round in circles, and still never arriving at
you can't.
Because no one's telling you the truth. Yeah.
Well, the one person they told you, I always love the word truth, it's just an abbreviation of trust. And the problem is, the one person they told you to never trust
is yourself.
Exactly.
Everybody go everywhere.
Exactly.
Like there's little stories. It reminds me of the stories of somebody, I don't know, it was always like Little Red Riding Hood was going off and she found this one and then that one. There was always on a journey finding all these different people, and not really, like you say, stopping and thinking, hold on, I am the journey, I should go within me.
Exactly. You are the journey. As they say, You never learn anything at the end point. You learn it on the journey to that end.
Yes, you're not the destination.
You're not the destination. You
Mm-hmm.
gather the information, and that's why as soon as you finish one quest, you're in a state of boredom. You need to go on to another
Yeah.
quest so that you can carry on learning.
Yes. There's no end. There is no, oh yes, I've arrived now.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
You can't arrive, and especially if you're looking outside of yourself to arrive at
Oh,
a financial or relationship or what have you destination, guess what? These are ideas that need to be maintained by you. So therefore, once you have the relationship, you have to maintain it. Once you have that financial position, you have to maintain it. Once you have whatever physical, you have to maintain it. And you spend so much time actually maintaining these things, you forgot how to enjoy them again.
and that's the thing, isn't it? Enjoying.
You don't.
Because again, it's about enjoy. The word enjoy implies that you should be, it should be embodied, it should be within, going outward. Whereas what we're having really is sort of short-term pleasures, not enjoyment. Joy to me implies, something deeper. Pleasure is something that, I have to go and get it again and again and again. Whereas joy lives within me, and I just have to access it. Remember that it's there.
It's you who chooses not to smile based on what you believe you're going through.
Which is usually an illusion.
It's an illusion because someone's given you the criteria by which you should actually deem yourself allow yourself to be joyful. Someone says you have to achieve this, you have to achieve that, you have to achieve this. And if you haven't done that, then how the hell are you allowing yourself to be happy? So unfortunately, fear is being used as the motivation. And the thing is, there's no nutritional element in food. In fear, so to speak. So you find that there's no nutritional element in fear.
Not at all.
So what happens is you have to give up the nutrients, the energy in your body to just keep yourself calm in fear. So that's why the fear makes you sick, it makes you weak, it makes you unable to concentrate, because you're giving all your energy to maintain yourself in that state of fear.
I love that. No nutrients.
And this is why these people keep you in a state of fear all the time. There's always something to be scared of.
Yes. And that's a horrible place to find oneself, where you're just shuddering and just expecting the worst all the time. And like you say, that is, and that's the state of where the world is right now. People are kind of, in that fear, just fearful of themselves, fearful of everybody around, fearful that something foreboding is about to happen.
That's how it is. Fear is good for business.
Very much so. Very much so.
Because you basically will try and buy your way out of fear if you can. And these guys are creating laws faster than you can imagine. So therefore, all of a sudden now, whereas, in England, the whole issue about parking, can't park on this line, can't park on that line, and speed limits, speed bumps, speed cameras, speed this, you're driving along and you're in a constant state of fear, just hoping you don't break a law. All the time, the enjoyment of driving is gone.
It's gone.
Like literally, oh my God, if I park here, if I got this, is this camera? Is there a frozen camera? You want to park? It's like, you're thinking about going to a place. Now you're thinking about the parking of what's the parking going to be like when you get there to choose where you're going to go.
You say that, and I'm just focusing on London now, coming to London, and you just made me feel like folk realise, oh my God, that's so true. Everywhere you go, there is just this. It's so difficult because speed, Big Brother is everywhere, just watching you. Yeah.
Everything.
Oh my God.
And they've got you to the point where you're self-policing yourself.
Yes.
So they've drummed all these laws into you so hard that you're scared all the time. Oh my God. And the way in which they punish you is with money.
Yeah. Pay. You owe. It's off to work you go.
Exactly. My God, you owe. Yeah, for real. It's off to work you go.
Yeah.
Like, where did I didn't do anything. How comes I owe you money?
That's it. It's a, it's like you're you know, they want to drain you. There's nothing for you. It's always about sending to them. And so
Exactly.
you use your, like you just said, you know, you're fearful, then you're out there working hard, blood, sweat and tears, and then you're still handing it over to them. So, you know, whichever way, they win.
They win because the game was rigged. You can't win in a game that
No.
you didn't actually get any choice in the conditions or terms and conditions, laws that you find out when you've broken them. Oh, these were hold on, I didn't know. I thought I just grew up, went to school, come out, got a job, did whatever. All of a sudden, I got to pay this, I got to pay that. I got, you know, and someone sitting there, because the olden days, what do they call a mob? Was what the queen or the people in power used to go and collect taxes. Now they're 1,000 times more sophisticated. They've written the taxes into the education system, the whole thing. So you now come out and literally everything you do is taxed. So they no longer need to collect money with the mob, because they've educated you to understand that this is the way that good citizens or good people should be. They should just pay the money over without actually asking what they're getting in return.
Actually, you know, Brother Edison, as you've gone into money there, and that's the next area I want to go with you, relating to relationship. Yeah, and
Go ahead.
what I would ask you, what part does money play, good or bad, in relationships, based on where we are in the 21st century?
Unfortunately, the biggest, I don't know, the biggest part of the control of people is getting them to put money or the concept of money before themselves. So the value of who they are mentally, physically, spiritually has a financial value. And that deeper integrity a person has is no longer there. They can't see money. It's been so interwoven in society or life that I always say the one religion that everyone follows is money. The one God that they worship is that.
Yeah.
All the others are just stories. I only say in relying to relationship is the sense that now people will say, oh, well, you know, no finance, no romance, all that kind of stuff.
And that's what I want to ask you. Is it really, you know, when people, do you feel that when people talk about love, do you think it's interwoven now with the financial benefits that person might bring in some shape or form?
On a physical reality, yes. On a spiritual reality, no. On a physical reality where the person is trying to build the external idea that they have of themselves. I'm a person that I've got this amount of money, I've got this kind of car, I've got this kind of house, then that external image, what they want to show to the outside world to say, didn't they do well? Are they successful? It's built on money. So when you have love, or the person love the idea of themselves to that point, it's not unnatural, it's how they've been brought up to think. But yes, in a relationship, if they're in a scenario where more for, of course, there's situations where a guy is not going to look at a woman and say, you don't look like you can look after me, or the guy is going to think, I want to be involved with that woman. He might not always use money as the criteria in order to make his decision. But I am thinking in a sort of fair environment. If you're in an environment where there's a concept of rich and the concept of poor, a guy might say he might not want to go with a woman that is poor. And then he bases reality on that. But again, these are difficult situations for me because it's all a fantastic illusion. Yeah? You remember one of my famous or favorite sayings is, God made everyone equal, then man made money and made himself God. So this artificial reality or hierarchy that is being created based on someone who can print money, now saying that they're the gods, you must aspire to be them, has created this whole rich and poor dynamic. It's an illusion because, again, it's an artificial thing that's been created, now used as a way to elevate people up in their own mental estimation of themselves. So now people who come from countries that haven't printed amount of money, or literally countries that, you know, their first concern was life, not actually going out and amassing as much money as possible, or printing as much money as possible based off gold or whatever reserves. These people went out, created that whole dynamic, owned the education systems, taught the people to value the money over themselves. So now you're in a scenario where people are, unfortunately, you could have a woman turn down a guy because he doesn't appear to have the money that's going to look after the idea that she thought that she would be able to fantasy she created. And you could have a guy who's in a situation where he's working as hard as he can so that he can have enough money to impress any woman that he likes. So now the whole money seems to be the glue in the middle.
That's holding.
And in truth, where the love is, I mean, if I love a person, you love the person, you love the being, you love the soul, you love who that person is, everything. You're not just sitting there saying, oh, well, they haven't got the money, I think we've got to close the account on this one. It doesn't make sense. So this is why I said people love the idea of people, not the people themselves, because it shouldn't matter. In that respect, people argue, oh yes it does, money's important. Then therefore you've accepted the fact that this money is more important than you. And how can, so imagine how deep a psychosis or how deep a program has been put inside your head that someone can convince you that this artificial thing that they created outside and printed is more valuable than you than a human being.
That's when you're obviously saying it, that's so sounds insane, but obviously on a day-to-day basis and just looking around at society, you can see that that is what is happening. People are valued based on monetary gains and not on what they bring as a spiritual being in a physical form.
Well, you see what you say is insane. Look at the craziness of it. It's insane, but people base their happiness on an insanity.
All the time.
And wonder why, no matter how much money they have, they don't feel any better.
They're never satisfied, yeah.
No, because the money doesn't hit them on a soul happiness level. It hits them on an illusionary external idea level. So therefore their external idea has been fed, but them, the actual being inside, is not impressed. Hence, they think the more money that they have, they can actually feel it spiritually. You can have all the money in the world, you can't feel it spiritually. You need someone else to come and treat you in a sort of worship you in a certain way, and then you can feel the energy of that person worshiping you. Because that person you're going to see it in their face, you're going to see it in their demeanor, and you have to feed off controlling people now that you have that money. So you yourself, if the people are not paying you any attention and you're driving this fancy car, what's the point of driving the fancy car?
Well, you see, the thing is, if you feel sort of, again, it goes down to that first question that you answered about the relationship with the self. If your relationship with yourself is is good, then these external things, you won't put them before that, because but if it's not good and the self-esteem is low, then you will need these tangible assets to rather than the intangible. There's intangible assets which are lasting, and then there's the tangible assets that are kind of they come and go.
That's it.
And that is the problem that where we are today, I feel. Do you feel that we're more in a problem with the confusion? Do you think today more than say back in our parents and grandparents and great grandparents? Do you think we have more issues trying to work out what is love and what is what is bought, what is love, what is money? What did you say that song, the title, No Romance Without Finance? I always smile when I hear that. Gwen Guthrie. I love it.
Yeah, nothing going on about the rent. That really set the cat amongst the pigeons. That spoke a lot of, don't get me wrong, it was a reality that many people are thinking,
Yes.
but it didn't bring advancement. It really didn't, you know, because the problem we have, like what you just said, is that the older generation appreciated that they had to work together to raise themselves up.
That's right.
And now we don't actually believe that. We say it, but we don't actually believe it, because ultimately we're still looking at the money. So whereas people needed to survive and they worked together, and as a team they found something that they could share and an idea that they could move forward with. Now we don't, you know, there's I spelled all over team, isn't it? The person's just looking at themselves. How can I raise myself up and get all these people to raise me up within it? You know? So
I hear, sometimes I hear men saying things like they feel defunct, they feel as though they're being deleted because women are saying, I don't need a man. I can take care of myself. I've got my own money. I can, you know, I can go and get my own money. I can take care of myself. What is that true? That's going on? And if it is, what is that doing to relationships? That money, you know, that a man might feel that he's no longer valid because, you know, he might not have the kind of money that the woman might have.
Okay. The thing is, you know, like we were saying before, there is everything has been reduced to sex.
We're going to go. Yeah, we're going to go.
Everything has been reduced.
Don't go too much into that because we're going to go into a whole piece.
I'm not saying it in that respect. I'm saying that men are unfortunately unaware of what their market value is.
Wow! Hold on. Say that again.
Men are unaware of what their market value is.
Please explain.
The way that men have been portrayed, they don't actually have any market value in any society. Unless you're one of the rich top boys, you're a normal guy has to come and actually, how do you say, he has to almost beg for some sort of recognition.
You know, that's, you know, you've kind of, what I love is that you've summed this up perfectly, because when I was talking to you about the alpha and that's kind of where I was coming from, but you've put it in a way that makes, you know, it's sort of like bing, you know, because that is the truth, isn't it? Unless you're a wealthy guy, you really have no power.
You have no power.
And you can feel that with guys. Guys are getting to a point where they're feeling disgruntled all the time, almost as though, you know, what is the point? I'm not even being allowed to be a man.
Well, again, this is what I'm saying. He has to prove to women that he is worthy of their attention. So her market value is high, hence her appearance is important, because that is the way in which she actually can raise her market value when everything is still at the level of purely physicality. Her character, her nature, how she conducts herself, who she is, what kind of mother, what kind of person, what kind of things she's been through, how she's gone through that work to actually develop herself and make herself into that strong, powerful being. It's not often even thought about. Yeah? When you reduce everything physically, and they know that a guy, like the woman has the urge, the man has the urge, but the man has to prove himself worthy to the woman. That's why I said his happiness is based on her happiness with him.
His happiness is based on her happiness with him.
That's really what it is.
When a guy feels as though he's unable to fulfill that woman in whatever way she needs to be fulfilled, whether it's monetary terms or whatever, it's kind of like a...
This is when the force comes in, where the guy now has to come forward with force or with some sort of fear dynamic.
Why would that be fearful? Why wouldn't the guy say, well, I can't fulfill you? What's, you know, why would it affect him at that deep level?
Because again, most men are being mentally marginalized to believe that nothing about them is of value.
Brother Edison, hold on, Brother Edison, that is, I mean, all right, people listening, they must be wondering, really? Or do you think most guys are going to say, yes, Brother Edison's, preach,
well, no,
preach?
The thing is, they're going to go into the ego dynamic. The ego's going to say, yeah, I've got this, I've got that, I've got this. They've got a load of external stuff. Yeah, and that's what they hope is going to attract the women that they want towards them. I'm not saying that it's correct, but the guy has infinitely more power than what he's
a load of big stuff. As you said that, what came up? A load of big stuff or a load of BS?
Well, exactly. Again, there's a load of different stuff. I've got this, but the actual person and the value of what he can give to a person.
So what you're saying you're saying take away all this stuff, external stuff, and what has he got left? Is that what you're saying?
Effectively, if you take away all the external stuff, who is he as a person? How much is he invested in who he is? And the same thing for a woman.
Of course.
If you take away all the looks, this, that, and you look at her as a character inside her, what does she have?
To offer.
What can she bring to you other than better looking sex?
Hey? We're going into that in the next question.
No. I know. But the fact is, you have to be more of a person. Like, you're strong, you're able, you're this, you're that. And this is why I come saying that the person's frequency, their balance, how they come. If they're good and you're getting involved with someone who's mentally as good as you, then both of you are strong, and both of you can move forward together. But if it's a case where someone hasn't quite got over the situation through no fault of their own, when you're getting involved in that relationship, the guy could be going in for his reasons, but the woman's going in for hers as well.
So everybody's looking for the other to complete them.
Exactly, but to fix them and to heal them. The guy is not looking for the woman to heal him. Not often. He's not walking in saying, you're going to be the balance, you're going to fix all the bad relationships.
What is he looking for?
He's looking for, how do you say, the guy is really looking for someone that is going to enable him to be a better version of himself. The woman, as the saying goes, if a man has a good woman to support him, there's no way he can fall down. If she's got his back, she'll listen to him, she'll help him, she'll raise him when he's down, she'll know him and understand him. Then he'll get up every day as strong as a horse and do whatever he needs to do. But if he doesn't have that, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If he doesn't have that, the woman that is an emotional dependent, she needs this, she needs that, she needs that. Guess what? Every time he's trying to step forward, he's pulled back into the hole within his partner that is missing. She's got a hole, she needs it to be filled. She requires his energy to fill it. So as a result, he can't move forward.
So, just to let you know, we're just over the 1 hour mark. 1 hour and three minutes.
Standard.
So,
and we haven't got to the question yet.
We still got more to go. But so far, what we've come to the realization through the answers that you come through is that people are looking to be filled from the externals, more or less.
A relationship is an energy exchange. So therefore, if both people are they exchanging either good energy or bad energy with each other.
And you know, Brother Edison, that brings me to the next question: sex. Because I know that you've kind of spiritually, you've got quite a take on this that could blow people's minds.
I'm glad you said spiritually. There you go. Oh God. Nothing else, that's for sure. No, don't worry, it's all good.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. As far as going back to the exchange of energy, this isn't something that isn't just sex is just one aspect, but like we said earlier, conversations, interactions, all different forms of interactions that you have with a person is an exchange of energy.
Exactly.
You're literally trying to raise that person if your energy is good, or you're lowering that person if your energy is bad and sort of unstructured.
So it's like when when somebody says something like, "You bring out the worst in me," or every time I'm around this person, I don't like being around them because they just bring out the worst in me. Or somebody else, it's like, "Oh, I just love being around this person. When I'm with them, I feel uplifted. I feel amazing." So that's what we're talking about on a general basis. But between a man and a woman, what is going on with the energy exchange? Because it's happening on so many levels, isn't it? Physically, mentally, emotionally. They're literally absorbing each other, aren't they?
Effectively. When two people get together, when they're speaking like this or what have you, what they tend to do is create a little portal, a little bubble, where both of them sort of meet up mentally. And in that bubble that they've created what we call a contract. Okay, now the contract is the code of conduct they should have towards each other and with each other. The problem is both of them are writing different contracts, which they think is the same one, based on what they want out of that relationship. What type of behavior, what expectations, what fantasy, whatever, all of these are written into this contract. So whenever these two people are communicating, they want to stay within the contract that they've created.
And they're not realizing it might not be the same contract.
One, that is an aspect of it, but more importantly, even though they got their individual contracts, is that throughout the day, when we're dealing with all this negativity and all these different situations, we lean into that idea and that image of that contract in order to keep us going.
Brother Edison,
it's one of these things that you have a thought. Sorry, go ahead.
No. All I wanted to quickly ask why you said that was that I'm writing down exactly what you're saying in a little diagram, and another thought's come to mind. Haven't they, before they even came together, even before they came into this world, haven't they got an agreed contract which is about their soul's journey? And these mini contracts that they've got, aren't these part of the externals that they've designed for themselves based on being distracted by being here on this planet? But haven't they got a bigger soul contract that they're both supposed to be meeting?
Yes. However, we could go there if you want.
Please,
play the other side. It's only because
think of the people. They will want to hear that. Please.
I know. The thing is, the reason why I'd like to finish off the other one.
Yeah, no. Finish off the other one.
No, the reason being is, what happens is, people want to believe that there is a bigger thing at hand, which there is. There is a bigger thing, and there's a bigger reason, and you don't bump into one person and spend your whole life with when there's millions of different people that you could have done that with. You know, there's the lottery, but that person is your lottery. Yeah, that's the person that you were supposed to end up with. And this concept of forever and ever created by the church is not really a true reflection of what's supposed to take place. But that is a slightly separate conversation. The reason why I wanted to go into the first one and the initial thing about the contract and how it is where you and this person create this contract and you create an expectation of how this person is supposed to be. And when this person and these thoughts that we have during the day are like our own little personal sensation drug, where we can actually say, oh, I'm thinking of my partner, and then you smile. Yeah? It's a classic, isn't it? Whenever you think or someone mentions your partner's name and you're enjoying that relationship, your whole body and demeanor changes in accordance, and your body is like, I've just been given a boost. Whoa, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of Johnny. Whoa, oh, Johnny makes me feel good. And all of a sudden, you've just picked your whole spirit up by just mentioning the person's name. So you can use that idea to sustain you through the whole of the day. Yeah, either way, both ways. You can't wait to go and see each other, because that is an even more intense sensation when you see each other.
Wow.
You know, when the woman's looking down, but she wants to look at him, but when he's looking at her, she's looking down because, oh, I feel so happy when I'm seeing him, and looks down because she don't want, it's like that. You both go through your games until you basically look in each other's eyes, and that doesn't faze you. You feel so happy doing that. The buzz the electricity coming into you just from that idea is incredible. And when one of you kind of does something to slightly damage that by doing something outside of the agreed contracts, you try let it go. You try, oh, okay, well, I want to get back to that buzz. I want to get back to that feeling that when I see you, think of you, I'm so excited I can't control myself. And so you spend your whole time trying to keep that up as best you can initially. Right. And as the situation changes, and you don't feel so animated when you hear that person's name, or so happy when they do certain things to break the contract that you feel. So in the end, when you used to run around and dance when you hear that person's name, when you see that person calling you, you see the person's face change to like they're chewing some bitters or something like that,
I love it.
You say they look so scowl, like, I've got to answer the phone. And when it's, and you see them totally show anger, talking at the name of this person. This person once upon a time they were madly in love with, but now they're speaking to them. There's such anger in their voice, and you see, it's funny. You can look at someone and he's laughing,
and their countenance can change. Yeah,
exactly. Just gets a phone call from this person, and his whole countenance changed. She said, "Now it shows you that that person is such an abhorrent one that they can't even pretend." And they were laughing, and the fact is, when they finished the phone call, the chemical lingers, and they say, oh, forget that, and let's go back to what we're doing. And the smile comes back on the person's face. You say, whoa, now you can see that situation, that idea, that contract has literally dissolved. The energy that it once had is no longer there. So effectively now, when they think of that person, there's no there's no energy, there's no frequency. And that's like the apple falling from the tree when the tree is ready to release it, because it's no longer viable. It's too heavy. It's got to be dropped. And that's when the relationship breaks up. But if it be a case of money or children or whatever story, they try to keep it going. But the actual connection or the buzz between two of them has long since gone. The electricity is not there anymore.
That is interesting. Yes, the electricity.
So now, it's all about the electricity, because the electricity is electrical beings is what literally creates the sensation or the depth or the beauty or the balance of that sensation that you feel when you think of that person.
You know what? As you're saying that, because I'm thinking about this, the true contract versus these artificial contracts, and it's almost as though these kind of contracts, personal contracts that they've made up and they're putting out to the other person, it's like it's switching off the electricity. Whereas if they followed the soul's contract, it would turn, not only would it turn on the electricity, it would it would make it boom and bigger and brighter and better, and
effectively be a natural one. Because it starts off natural, and then money gets involved, or this gets involved, or that gets involved, and all of a sudden these artificial being components are being put into a real life situation.
And it turns, so it literally sucks the light out of each other.
Well, you can't sustain something artificial in a natural environment. Eventually it will destroy the natural environment.
That's right. Wow.
And all of a sudden now the guy could leave or the woman could leave because there's not enough money in the situation. And the fantasies they'd created of what would be a better life can't be financially sustained by the person's individual earnings. So they look for bigger jobs or more dangerous jobs so that they can raise the money, because the person's external idea of who they are requires a lot of money to fund it. Guess what? If he can't find someone or something to keep that going or maintain that, he can put his own self in a state of depression. His relationship in himself could be poor because he hasn't got enough money to sustain the dreams that he's created externally, because internally his spirit doesn't give a damn. It can't eat, it can't drink, it can't have sex. So what does it care?
Doesn't want. That's not, And why have we, why has, because it's like we've kind of, money's come back in again, but then it is kind of tied into the
Sadly,
sex as well, isn't it, in a way?
it can be. It can
Because
be.
like the song was saying, isn't it? That song, you
No
could use that.
finance, no
Yes,
romance.
yeah. And what, what are we saying? Well, you're not getting anything if you can't, provide
Yeah.
what is
The thing is,
necessary.
that's at a slightly more mature, because children, at a certain age, teenage years, it's not always about the money, isn't it? They look and say, I like you, you like me, that kind of thing. So
Yes.
it'll always, start off that way. The money comes in and can corrupt things further down the road. And when people get into this whole, I am, I am this, I am that, I am whatever label, there's usually money behind that label. And if there's no money behind that label, no one's proud to be that label.
Oh, so, come on, Brother Edison. There must be a way that people can not allow money to, not allow themselves to be money led like this. What? Is there a way? Or
there is a way, of course. There's a way, but then, like
is it
you
not
said,
popular
the more
way?
you understand yourself, the more you can pull away from the over dependence of money to value you. As they say, a person, when the person is deemed good or not good, the person is seen successful based on what they have, not who they are. Yeah.
Well,
so if the person has done the work, he's actually overcome his inner mental demons. He's got to the point where he's at peace with himself.
Mm-hmm.
He successfully dealt with himself. Therefore, he requires less, because the more you have inside yourself, the less you require outside of yourself.
That's right. But do you feel as though people are allowed to do that? Do you not feel that people feel obligated to have more, have the biggest jobs, or get the big, more money, and put themselves, like you say, put themselves in danger even, whether it's health danger or, legal danger, all sorts of dangers.
But the thing is, when man created money, he made himself God.
Yes.
So what
can you state give me that statement again, please? I was going to ask you when you were
I wrote it years ago.
Go on, tell me.
It literally is, God made everyone equal. Then man created money and made himself God.
God made everyone equal, and then man made money, made himself God. I love that.
So now that man is God, the richest man is God. The richest man can dictate how you behave. The richest man can make you another human being curtsy or bow down to them when you meet them.
But you know what?
The idea is so ingrained in your head, you feel you're less than that person based on an artificial dynamic. But go ahead.
Bob Marley said, that man was once a baby, so who is he to tell me? And he also said, I'm a man too. If that man with the big bag of money, he can't, just because he's got this thing called money, tell me that he's more than me, because on a man-to-man level, we're both men. We're both, yeah.
Every human, there's no human that can tell you that they're more important to this world than you are.
Exactly.
The only way they could do it is based on money.
And that, the illusion. So
the illusion,
and then
on the artificial dynamic.
Yeah, and then we follow that trait of thinking, pass it down generations, and now people believe, I'm not very much because I haven't got much money, and the only way I can be somebody or something is if I go out there and get a bag of money.
Effectively, that's really what it is, because they're now, and they say, you don't want them to starve, you don't want them to this, you don't want them to that. But isn't it the irony of all the food that they grow in the poorer countries is what all the richer countries go and harvest to feed themselves over here? So the people have the food in their backyard and they're starving. And the people over here are going there and harvesting the food that they have there and selling it here for what people eat over here for money.
Bob Marley again said that the fools sit on the and the abundance and don't know it. You know, we don't
That's
know
it.
what we got everything in our, you know, in the continent and the Caribbean and what have you, but we don't know it. And
We
like you
don't know.
say, it's all coming back here. And without that leverage from the continent, there'd be nothing here. People would be, you know, they wouldn't even last a month.
What the biggest illusion is, they say it's the third world, but the gold that sustains the first world is based off the money what they took out of the third world.
And
So
still
it's
taking, yeah.
so is it your ability to steal that makes you the first world? Come on, it's ridiculous. You sit there and once you understand yourself, you
Proves,
understand
brother
the
Edison.
illusion of the self. You say, does that make sense? You stole everything, and you stole the people, you stole this, and then you turn around and say that they're dumb because they allowed you to steal, because they didn't see what you were taking had any value to them, because they didn't create you that took that and created your financial system based off what you took.
But you see, Brother Edison, it's I think sometimes as well we have to look at it as, you know, because obviously when you sit down and you think how on earth did that how did that sort of transfer take place? Like you were talking earlier on about transfer of energy. How did that happen? And it must have been some type of mind, some type of mind illusion taking place, because I heard when, you know, when the ships came into the Caribbean to the people, the only person who could see the ships at the time was the shaman. The people, the local people couldn't see the ships because they didn't have any reference in their psyche, you know, for that. Whereas shamans are able to see what was and what is coming, whereas the people who tend to just know what is and what was. And so if it must be that because, you know, if you look at the way this world is at the moment, it's very mind control, it's very mind dominated. And if we are spirit, if people in their essence is spirit, and not, you know, and somebody else has hijacked the mind of people, then this is how they can do these things. And you know, it just it happens, and you're like bamboozled, scratching your head thinking, what happened?
Well, the thing is, what throws me is the fact that I hear people talking of, in Ghana, as it's now called, that land, they used to see gold in the ground and not think anything of it. You have to understand that different people have different values for different things. And the fact that you see a stone in the ground, shiny as it is, if you've got no use for it, it's you've got no need to pay no mind to it. But the fact is, if someone has based their idea of currency on this thing, when they're taking this out, when they're doing it, you say, it's rocks in the ground. It doesn't mean anything to me. The thing is, the people had deeper, more meaningful things to sort of occupy their lives, occupy their minds, and to get into different worlds. So, you know, I do like that concept of how the shaman was able to see. There was that film Apocalypto, which was one of my favorites, in the sense where they actually showed that whole dynamic of the people couldn't see the boats because they, as you quite rightly said, they had no reference for that physical structure. The problem we have is, like we say, spiritually, if you don't believe a certain thing is there, your mind will not allow you to see it, and will shut it out. The thing that I loved about that film as well was the dynamic of how the guy, they went hunting and they killed an animal and they were bringing it home, and they saw some people running, looking scared. And then the guy slowed them down and said, hold on. He said, you see how that guy looks? Yeah, we don't want you to bring that feeling into the village. They saw fear as a disease, as a mental disease, and they didn't want you to bring that kind of disease into the village. See, this is when someone is in their pure state. They realize things like fear, all these different kind of emotions are external concepts which come in and then take over the person's body and then becomes the natural state of the body.
Wow.
Or natural state of the mind. And these guys continuously, perpetually put in these concepts all around you. So now, where someone says, I wouldn't eat this food because it's bad for me, but you would consume that idea, not knowing that that idea is equally bad for you.
Well, this is it. I mean, the people now. In fact, I was having a conversation saying that with somebody and saying, as much as I do feel health is a very important aspect, you know, what we eat and all that, but then at the same time, what we fear about what we eat, it can literally make you sick and kill you off quite quickly.
Yeah, it does. But then you consume everything you see.
And you hear.
Everything you see and every experience is a version of food as far as your mind and body is concerned.
What
so
you
therefore
see,
you have to be you have to be careful what you're looking at, what you're watching, what you're continually consuming. Because if you're continually consuming fear, the impact is going to have on your body, because your body will generate a chemical that matches that level of fear, as your body is the theater of your mind. Whatever you're visually seeing or thinking in your mind, the way
manifest in your body.
Exactly. The way like a PlayStation, you hold it and it shakes in your hand because they want to give you the feeling of what you're actually seeing. Oh, you know, you're seeing it, you're feeling the shake. That's what your body does. Your body literally creates that chemical which gives you that shock or gives you that fear or gives you that sensation, which is an unpleasant one.
Going back to the man and the woman with all this, let's take that back to the couple who is the couple, and you know their sort of relationship and the physical aspect of their relationship. What is all that fear? You know, the fear of the maybe the man feeling, I don't want to lose myself in this, woman feeling, I want to absorb myself more in this, or you know they're both coming from opposing sides, but both coming from fear. What is that doing to their bodies? And also, I wondered if you could touch on the transference of not only spiritual energy and the pain, the wounded energy, but also the physical, sexual energy. What's going on with all that? You know, especially if they're both coming from fear. In that, you know,
Well, the thing is, as we said, relationships are an energy exchange. So effectively, all that's transpiring is that what sex is really supposed to be, because it's really one of the most sacred rituals that you could be involved in.
Yeah.
Because literally, as John Legend quite put it, all of me becomes all of you.
Wow, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So as all of you becomes all of me, you're in a situation now where effectively you don't only meet at a physical level, you merge at a spiritual level. So all the events that have transpired in your life also transfers across to this person, and both of you merge in that dynamic as well. So therefore, everything that person's ever been, this, that, is encapsulated. You know, they say in one of your blood cells, they could find the DNA for all of your body.
Yes.
So therefore, what created that? There was an energy that created that, a life force that created that. So you two are exchanging life force. Yeah, whenever you two merge on that level. So this is why it was deemed that, you know, woman's got to be right, the guy's got to be right. Because it's a very dangerous exchange of frequency.
Brother Edison, wow.
Go ahead.
Yeah, can you? I mean, that is deep. So you're saying, let me just reflect this back to you. You're saying that when two people come together, right or wrong for each other, they are going to hand over all that they are to the other person. It's going to be in their body. It's going to be a transference. It's that their mind is going to change. Their mind is going to have that. Their souls are going to merge. Everything is going to come together. And their wounds? What I'm hearing is their ego wounds is also going to transfer.
Because what happens is, as soon as they exchange, the energy's in them. Because, we're a slightly different kind of concept, but level of understanding is that within our body, we are not a individual, we're a community.
Mm-hmm.
So all your organs have their own separate intelligence. All your organs have their capacity to communicate with you. It's like I said, when you see someone and you're excited, you got a feeling in a certain part of your body.
Wow.
That body generates a sensation that you say, oh, I feel something when I see that person. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Your heart broken, your mind, all these different aspects. So when you're in a scenario like that, your body now engaging in this person, you can become, remember it's all electricity, you can become magnetized to this person.
So turned right up, yeah.
So all of a sudden, two of you, when you come together, what people don't appreciate is that they're completing a circuit.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Electricity is based on the whole fact of an electrical rod being put into a magnetic coil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as a result of the movement of that, that's where you've got the basis of electricity. Is that not sex?
Yes. But
and then when it's all finished, the energy created within the woman and within the man, that whole electricity, that merging of it exchanges all of that. So the good, the bad, if the person had all these different events that transpired in their life, situations, that frequency dynamic is now transferred into the guy as the electricity in her increases.
Edison,
the same thing of all the
No, keep going. I'm just
same thing with the guy. All his life force, all his events, all his situations are transferred into the woman. That's why you can have a child. The woman can have a child that has the traits of the father, the good traits, the bad traits, which shows you that all these traits, all these frequency is electrically stored. It's not just physically expressed. The physical expression is of the electrical intelligence manifesting and pushing it out. All these expressions are manifestations of thoughts, of feeling, of that situation. So when he's actually exchanging that with a woman and putting his, whatever life force into her, he's transferring all that characteristic in her.
Brother Edison, people listening, I can only imagine. I'm sure, obviously I know you have a lot of people who you've shared this knowledge with and they understand and they follow you. But people who's never heard this before, how, they're going to find it, impossible to get hold of in the first, hearing of it. Can you kind of break down a little bit on things that are happening in people's lives in relationships that can show them that this is what gives evidence of yes.
It's really funny. I saw an old couple today, and I could see that there were a couple, but the classic thing, the way in which you can tell an old couple is that they begin to look like each other.
Yes.
Because over a period of time, the man's semen rearranges the DNA of the woman to have him start to look like her.
Oh my God. That's deeper though, isn't it?
That's a simple example of how the energy is actually going inside the woman and rearranging her whole physical appearance. How deep is that? And that is a manifestation of energy of him within her. What else is that energy doing? And on what level is it having an impact on who she is and how she is?
Wow. And I suspect that's why when people have been with each other for, say, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, where else are they going to go? Because they've become...
They become that one with that person.
Wow.
When that person breaks away, they're heartbroken because part of their energy has been taken away.
Wow.
Yeah, heartbroken, energy displaced, half of who they were, because they effectively become one over that period of time. And when you're turning around to someone and say, oh, I want you to break up with this person on mental, logical reasons, you're not appreciating the electromagnetic circuit that exists between two of them.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, if this is something that's been built up over many previous of lives,
on top
of what is going on, can you imagine when they're coming together and you're trying to say, this person's not good for you, they're going to bring you bad luck, they're going to bring you this, you're going to bring you that, and then you're asking this person for logical reasons leave. But I say your mind might want to go, but your body's still in the relationship.
Yes, the
and
emotions,
your body ain't ready to leave you.
Yeah, the emotions are there long after the logical mind has said,
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
out of there, mate. Yeah.
The mind is, we're gone. But the body is saying, can I just try one more time? And it wants to keep going because the sensation, the feeling, all that kind of thing, it's still addicted to the other person. It still requires the drug of that other person. And you haven't, like any junkie, hasn't actually got over that person.
Wow. And as you say that, that's one thing. But what about when you've got a person who is constantly coming up against these types of situations with different people? It's almost like the same relationship, but with a different face and a different body.
Okay.
What is that?
Yes. Well, again, we're not appreciating that essentially we are electromagnetic beings. So effectively, this is something that can transpire. It doesn't necessarily need to happen by sex. It can be something you're born with. But again, when you're actually being conceived by your parents,
yes.
If this is something which the father has done or something which the mother is thinking, or this is a transference, because remember your actual womb of the woman is an actual separate dimension, an energy, electrical magnetic dimension, working on the level of intelligence that man hasn't got the science to measure. So the actual ability and what is transferred from the mother into the child is not just food. It's all of who she is. It's all the events, all the situations. And be that the case of the actual egg and the semen or what have you are combinations of both people. Imagine, like we said, the life force of the father is actually something which can be seen in the child, his traits, his what have you. So you can imagine the form of what is swirling around that whole vortex per se, that whole dimensional environment and what is taking place. So if you had a situation where the mother had a fear, and when we speak of curses and different things like that, we step outside of the religious bubble. We start to actually explain that these events can become attached to a person. So you can have a kind of program per se, which is a curse. A curse is really like a program. The person encapsulates all in different words what they want to happen to that person, and that literally becomes a bubble and tries to actuate itself on the actual individual, or attaches it to the person's aura, and has a situation where when that person is walking around, that curse that has been put on them radiates the frequency. So people coming towards them feel that energy and start to behave in the way that the curse has suggested before they meet that person. So you can have a situation where the mother or the father has been, someone has said something or done something to them. So that bubble or that idea is now attached to the actual aura or energy of that person. So the mother, if she's been cursed or the father's been cursed, that child can now have, because it's been in the environment of the mother and made up of the life forces of both of them, can now be in a situation where that event, that situation is now on the child as it's born. So the child is born and it's generating that magnetic frequency based on events that have happened in the parents' life. And so it grows up. Go ahead.
And also, would that child or that soul, let's call it, so the soul within that child, would there be a sort of, you know, resonance with the parents, because that soul would need that type of energy from the parents to come here and you know, finish off its work? And would that be one of the reasons as well why that child, that soul within the child, would come through those two people and go through these types of experiences and play it off in relationships, particularly over and over and over and over again?
Yes, there is a dynamic which you do explain, where you have a situation where the parents are the creators of the body of the child. The soul is a separate intelligence coming into the child. That's why the soul is a connection or a continuation of previous lives. So all these previous lives, your soul comes in. That's why your character is unique. That's why you think in a separate way from your family, because you're a different energy that has chosen that family, your mother, as a way to come into this world.
That's right.
So they have made the body and the story for you. You come in, and with that body, try and complete the task that you've come here to do. So that is your soul job. Your soul job, the only job you have. All right. So and all the rest of it is things that you've attached and allowed to become part of your identity, but they're not. None of them are. Your job here is to come and fix the things that you've come to fix. Now, you would know that before you come here.
That's right.
Because before you come here, you would have been given all the options of saying, oh, good, I'm going to go for a life where this is going to happen. I'm going to go for a life where this family doesn't have much money, or that family has got this or that, they got that energies, that entities. But sometimes, in order to cross over into this dimension, you have to come via those stories. So when you get here, like all things, in the first 16 or so years, you're in the mercy of someone who can control you.
Wow.
Yeah? But you don't tend to find yourself till later on in life anyway.
Tell me about it.
Because what happens is you're working through what a boy means to be a boy. Or what does it mean to be a girl? Or what does it mean to be attractive? Or what does it mean to be this? And 9 out of 10 times,
what does it mean to be your race?
Well, you're actually acting.
Wow.
You spend your whole life acting because you don't know what the hell to do. So, God, what do I do in this situation? Oh, let me try this. Let me try that. Let me try this. This might work. That might work. Oh, God, I acted strange that time. I acted this. Because all you're doing throughout your life is acting. Hoping that the actions that you do actually enable you to get through.
And all you've got to be is just be. You just have to be. You just have to let go. Let go of all that.
Let your spirit come and take control. And then you'll see what's going to transpire.
Beautiful.
You know? There's nothing that happens by accident, because your soul is writing the script. It knew what it was coming into. It knew what it was going to do.
Brother Edison, people will say, that sounds great. You know, it makes spiritual, emotional, mental sense. But right now, I am living the nightmare in my relationship. What am I going to do? How, you know, what can I do? How can I rip myself from something that is both killing me, but if, you know, to leave is one problem, to stay is another problem. What do you say to people who are living the nightmare in their relationship?
Well, the truth is, every situation is unique. And as we spoke about the electromagnetic frequency, these are ideas. Ideas have an electric magnetic frequency as well. And most people are in relationship based on ideas. So people, you would have to find out the idea of what the person believes is going to be lost as a result of leaving that relationship. You have some men that will scare women to the point of death. They say that I'm going to kill you if you leave.
Oh my God.
You have some women that turn around and will say, if you leave me, I will kill myself. So people will use whatever they think is going to get you to stay in a situation where the natural relationship has gone.
Mm-hmm.
The electromagnetic
It's
sense
gone. The
of
lights
joy
out.
is gone.
The lights out. Time to go.
Exactly. The lights are out. It's, the show is over.
The show is over.
Fat lady is crying. She's finished singing, So there you go. As a result of that, you're in a situation where effectively you need to leave.
Mm-hmm.
It's broken off. They've created this concept forever. So, beyond the point where the bubble gum has lost its flavor, you're still chewing dry.
Chewing it
It's
dry.
lost its flavor,
Oh
man. You're chewing it hard. It's time you even get on a new situation.
You know
and
what?
People say, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Carry on. I'm just, yeah.
No, people would say the fact that we got children, we got this, we got to stay together. But if you're going to stay together and damage the children based on the poisonous dynamic that you have, who are you trying to help? So this is where you literally have to find the idea that the person is holding on to that is keeping them in that relationship. And until that idea is broken or severed, will they say, I've had enough, I can go now.
Brother Edison, you've just given birth to a new question. Now, are people doing relationship wrong? Or are people doing relationship wrong, or are people in the wrong relationship with the wrong? Are they in the relationship with the wrong person? What is it? What's going on? Is it both, or is it one or the other?
In honesty, that's a big question, and I can't give a right answer. I can only give the answer that makes sense to me.
Go on.
Because that's a big one. Imagine I say, yeah, this is right, this is wrong. Everyone is in the relationship to fulfill something that they have come here to do. As I always say, our life is our journey, and the people are our destinations. That we're meant to meet certain people at a certain time, at a certain point at our lives, and these people are going to help us carry on with the journey that we've made. It's a bit like that film Total Recall, when Schwarzenegger or whoever, I can't remember the other guy who did it, but what it was, at a certain point, he had told somebody to say, look, I'm going to come to you. I'm not going to know who I am. I'm not going to know why I'm here. And I want you to see me, recognize me, and give me something from my past to enable me to actually carry on. So that's what people do. They come, they bring you a little lesson, they bring you a little story, they bring you a little situation, they bring you something that challenges you so that you can actually move forward and develop your soul in a different way. And that's what the people do. You go here, go there, because you're meant to meet one person who's supposed to might tell you just one thing, but that one thing triggered a whole load of myriad of different thoughts that you were having.
Yes, yeah. So when people...
Are we in the right relationship? The fact is, all the relationships are right, even if they're wrong.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to ask you a little bit about when you mentioned happy ever after, because I feel that I remember at school we had all these little fairy tales, and there was never any that you got the fairy tale at the end and they lived happily ever after, and really that was just the beginning, wasn't it? And I think the problem is with people is everybody's looking for their happy ever after, and it doesn't exist, because you've got, like you just said, you've come here to do, we come on this planet to do some work, not the work that somebody has assigned us in terms of go to this job 9 to 5.
Go to this place.
No, but work on ourselves. And people feel the story, the sort of happy ever after thing. Do you feel that that's part of the big problem why people are struggling in relationships as well?
Yeah, it's an appeaser. You have to understand. We effectively a movie where you see all these concepts is an hour and a half long. They only have to be in love and go off happy ever after for an hour and a half long, Yeah, so you've seen the movie. Oh God, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours. You're done. The finish done. That's all they had to be happy ever after for. The thing in life, you can have anything you want. The hardest part of it is maintaining it.
Yes.
The problem about relationships is people, unfortunately, don't know how to maintain love.
And they don't want to do
and
the
they don't
work.
plan for it. They don't plan for it.
No, it's not
When
factored in.
when two people are sitting there saying we're going to be together forever, the man saying, and we're going to, the next thing he goes into is the financial plan. There's no love plan.
Wow.
There is no love plan mentioned. There's no what are we going to do to stay in love in 10 years' time. That's not on the table. That's not even a point of discussion. The only thing that is being discussed is what we're going to move to, where we're going to buy, how many children, all this. That is all the story then is discussed. Not the love. Why am I going to be excited by you in 10 years' time?
When everybody's deteriorating.
When everyone's, well, this is what
Well,
we
you
say.
see, yeah, but then, like you say, if you focus on the love, that could be appreciating. It doesn't have to depreciate.
Focus on the person. Focus on the person's being.
You had a quote about the soul.
That is it.
The soul doesn't grow old or something.
If you fall in love with the soul, the person will never grow old. You'll always see them as you first saw them. And that's when you can see two people in love that they never watched themselves get older. They saw themselves get older, but they saw themselves. They saw the soul of the person. They saw the little 16-year-old running around or the whatever age running around. When they see it, they're still playful with each other. Because they haven't changed. The world has changed around them, but them two are still locked in that portal of love.
That sounds beautiful. Because you were talking about the elderly couple that you met, and that's it, isn't it? And that's every new relationship wants to become that elderly couple that is still madly in love, but most relationships don't make it.
Well, not now, because unfortunately there's too many distractions, and relationships are like fast food. Whereas people aren't looking to work with each other, they're looking to think about their external identity, or my money and this, and I want to look like this, and I want to have the latest car, the latest girl, the latest this, the latest that. There was always those people around, but right now it's like what used to be a playboy, every boy plays now, you know? What used to be...
Brother Edison, hang on. You cannot just step over that like that. Every man is a... I mean, I'm sure, you know, every man is a playboy now.
No, not every man is a playboy. No. I say, whereas boys used to have a playboy.
Yeah, the odd one here and there.
The odd one. But now all the boys play. That's what I said now. So whereas there was a respect, and they say, hold on, this is a woman, this is a mother, this is a sister, this is now just a chick, this is now just a girl. And whereas you would want your one respected, you go out and disrespect someone else's.
Why is this happening?
Well, no, the thing is, like all good things, the less spirit, the less appreciation of life, the more money dynamic involved, the more people are respecting the aspect of money. You know, there's an elder now. No one wants to listen to an elder that doesn't have no money. You'd rather listen to the young one that's flash and got this and got that, because you want to live up and be like them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've created a whole concept with the women and now looking at money. I saw a classic Robert Mugabe quote the other day on Facebook where he said, I don't understand. He said the women of that country, they're not interested in your six-pack. They'd rather you go out and have 6 companies and bring a load of money. They'd be more interested in going to you for that.
But so rather than your health,
when you're young, physically, when you're older, more different situations come in. So, you know, again, this has now been bred into the psyche, where you see all the TV's been brought in. I know it sounds crazy, but when you start seeing all the Hollywood actresses, all the singers, all of this, how they're treated, how they're looked after, you can't tell the young girl that she shouldn't want that. Why shouldn't she want to be treated like that wherever she is, anywhere around the world? Yeah, So you could have it in places, Africa, wherever, and they're seeing people like that.
Of
So
course.
whereas someone would just be, I'm a simple girl, I just want to grow up and live my life. Now I want to be one of those stars and have this and have that. So that distorted perception would distort the aspirations of the girl. So people coming to her, she's going to look at them, can you take me to where I need to go to? Can you make me what I want to be? The fantasy is extended, the whole reality is extended. And if it's in two different parallels, as in the guys could never meet up what the woman wants, then, and the guys are still going to want what they want, and you know, that will breed a whole next type of behavior that wasn't there before.
You know what? We've got a whole. Everywhere you go now, there is talk of law of attraction, spiritual groups, spiritual conscious people. Are conscious people, spiritual people, law of attraction people immune to the sort of external?
Immune?
Are they immune to the external assets, or do they too? Or do they too want? Or do they too want it in abundance?
This is a funny thing. What's that? It's a funny thing you're saying there. Okay. All right, we'll go along with it. The law of attraction is not asking for you to attract deeper intelligence within yourself.
No.
The law of attraction is for you to attract things outside of yourself. So therefore, if you're looking for things outside of yourself to balance your fears and insecurities within yourself, exactly what is you immune to? The very thing that you're in is the attraction. You want to attract all these ideas, money, this, that to you. So the same things you're claiming is poisoning your mind is the same things you want more in abundance. Yeah? I want to attract the right man. I want to attract the right woman, or I want to attract the right job. It's all externally based on money. As far as the partner in the relationship is concerned, no woman saying, I want to attract a poor man. She ain't saying that, is she?
No, not exactly. I don't think so.
Exactly. Yeah. She's going to write a list of all the different aspects that she has, but she's not going to include the one that the man's going to bring. Because a relationship is an opportunity to learn about yourself. So therefore, the guy is going to come with the one aspect that you haven't dealt with.
Yes.
And he's going to reflect that back to you. So he might even have all the rest, but the one aspect which you haven't dealt with will be the issue that the guy comes with. And you're like, hold on, what's that? And your woman says, be upset. He's no good, throw him away. Because you're not ready to deal with that aspect within yourself.
And that's the thing, isn't it? A lot of the time people want to run away from a situation because
this is it.
But going back to the spiritual consciousness.
Oh, the spiritual guys and that, and the conscious
and the
guys.
conscious people. Is the conscious community, the spiritual community, are they able to bypass the temptations of things of this world? Or
the thing is, it's a hard question. Only in the sense that from when you label yourself, you want to be identified with a concept. And the concept is undefinable. You can't define what conscious means. You can't define what spiritual means. So ultimately, when you're claiming to be any of those words, it doesn't mean anything. It will mean something according to the individual that you're speaking to. So if someone says, I'm conscious, it might not mean they have a deeper understanding of themselves. It might mean that they're conscious of brutality, or they're conscious of women being treated badly in different parts of the world. You have to speak with that person and get what their definition of conscious is.
And that's so true, isn't it? Because, you know, everyone can say I'm spiritual, but they have a different way of expressing
There's all different
that.
ways of that, exactly. So again, whenever I heard the term, I have to ask more questions to say exactly what is it. We ask this, there's a saying, when someone says I'm conscious, we say exactly what are you conscious of?
Exactly.
You know, because them guys are running women down the same way. You know, so are you conscious of the transference of energy when you get involved with women? Are you conscious of that? So there's so many different aspects where essentially people are saying one thing, but they're defining it by their own rules. So my rules are not their rules, so I can't say I'm right and they're wrong.
That's right, yeah.
But again, on a spiritual platform, the further you go down, the more you understand. You know, you'll work out when it's right and wrong, when you've got to fix the problems. Because if you're doing something that is wrong, you'll see the problem come up in due course.
Right, and Brother Edison, I just need to announce that we're in our second hour.
God, it's a shock. I didn't see that coming.
And I know, and it's, you know, it's funny. Well, we've got to the point where we're talking about, you know, how people, you know, it's about how, you know, what each person having their own definition of what anything means, and by that what I mean is I could be talking to you about the colour blue, and because I could be talking about a you know, a variation of blue, and that is my, and you could be talking about a different variation of blue, and I think what I'm hearing you saying is when you are talking to somebody, you should always be reflecting back to make sure you're both talking about the same thing, or else you could both be talking about something and not, you know, not realizing that you're seeing it in a totally different way.
Exactly.
What I want to ask... Oh, go on.
No, I was going to say, communication isn't the words you use. Communication is the preferred thinking or speaking style of the individual that you're speaking to. Because if you are not communicating with them at the way in which they perceive reality, then both of you are going to mismatch each other.
That's right. And
so you have to find the way that the terms and the words that they use, or even the way in which they look at a certain thing. And until you can get that, both of you aren't having a conversation. You're really just talking at each other, and both of you are quite happily ignoring each other because you can't build the pictures based on what the person is saying. All your words are there to do is to create the image in your mind, because if you can't see what the person's saying, you can't understand it. So you have to find the way in which that person is creating the images in their mind, and for what images are valuable and important to them. And as long as you can communicate with that, then you can start to actually find a way to reason with this person. Because you're reasoning, you're trying to find a reason for why they do what they do.
Right. And this still brings me to the next question, because now you've really highlighted that by miscommunicating with each other, it causes pain, suffering, and all sorts of things. How can we I want to look at healing. What can people do to heal the past, heal the way, you know, and understand that a lot of it has to do with, as you've just said, miscommunication, misunderstanding, past wounds, past life wounds even. How can we start the healing process?
The first thing is always honesty is the best policy.
Nice.
But to be honest with yourself.
Nice.
Yeah. The thing is, we hide in so many different ideas and thoughts and feelings. We take on all these different labels and say, this is us, this is us, this is us.
And we try to be what we think people want us to be.
Exactly. This ain't us. We can follow this all day, and we're not going to find us in it, because it wasn't created by us. It was designed by someone else to have somewhere you can hide dealing with yourself. So first of all, you have to be brutally honest with who you are and what's going on. Until you get to that place, you don't know where to ask for help if you need it. Because if someone comes to me and they have a problem with Johnny, but they're talking about Jack, because I might know Johnny or dislike Johnny, and if they mention his name, I might get upset. The advice I'm going to give them is for Jack, which is no use to help them deal with Johnny.
Very true. Very true.
So the person has to come with the honest situation.
Be honest
Be honest, therefore they can look for a solution within themselves or outside themselves, dealing with the real issue they got. not with what is politically acceptable, not with whatsoever, what might other people deem as bad taste.
But again, you say that other people's thinking or what people perceive is what people might think, what people might say. That is one of most people's biggest problems, even though
No,
people.
I totally agree. And much as I'm saying what I'm saying, I really do understand that this is where, for me, a lot of the religions and different things have failed people, because there are the ancient understandings, the African understandings, and the ancestral understandings that go way beyond the actual simple formulas that they have. Or it basically gives you a capacity to hear someone's situation without actually becoming it. I was having a conversation with a friend today. We were speaking about how you have a situation, like we said earlier, where a woman will see a guy, they like him, they want him to be the person who helps them, delivers them out of a certain situation. They'll be with him and physically they'll find him attractive, but then later on they're going to want to have a conversation with this guy where they let out slowly different things that have happened to their life, in their life, and they want this guy to be able to listen and not judge them, allow them to say that I'm going to show you love irrespective of what they tell them. Now, if this guy's mind hasn't been prepared to be able to accept that kind of frequency from the woman that he loves, he could freak out on her or appear like he's disinterested, because he does not have the capacity to hold that level of energy, of discordant energy coming from that person inside his being. He can't hold it. So as soon as he holds it, it's like someone pouring a cup, pouring water in a cup that's full. It just slides off. He just can't accept it. He just can't take it on.
Is that a good idea? Oh, sorry. I would carry on.
No, and the woman may perceive he doesn't love her enough to be able to hear her, but that man wasn't built to hear that kind of thing.
Ah, and that's what that's what I was about to ask. Is it a good idea for partners to pour their darkest, deepest secrets into the person that they're having a loving relationship with? Is that a good idea, or should they find another outlet?
They find another outlet, and then when the partner sees that they're going going off, or they're behaving quiet or what have you, he has no clue what's going on with the person. He can take it personally and move away from the woman because he can't help her. So it's best that she finds someone who she can actually live her life with, not just sexually.
And that is kind of going back to basics, but because of the fairy story, because of the fairy tale, people are searching from the wrong place.
They're searching from a place where they can't find something. You're looking in the back bedroom where it's in the front room.
Love it. Yes, very true.
Yeah.
But why do people want to leverage things onto people that can't take it, and they want to move away from people who has got the capacity to take them on?
Because now, with everything being reduced to whether is this person going to be sexually or what have you, or whatever that case may be, I like them, I fancy them because they remind me of this and they remind me of that, and the whole sort of deeper introspection within themselves, or the people in the community that know this, that aren't sort of my first concern is how much you're going to pay me, So that's how a lot of spiritual advisors are. How much you're going to pay me? I want to know. Because if you're not paying me the money, it's show me the money. Otherwise, there's nothing going down. If it was a case where now we've sort of moved away from ourselves and our traditions, and we're in sort of imported religions. These imported religions can't cover and don't actually have a dynamic to help us in these situations. So where you should have advisors around there, or have the mothers know this, or have the fathers know this? Their whole focus has been turned into a sort of outside thought, where I'm going to go out, earn money, provide for my family, give them a good, comfortable lifestyle, but not know a damn thing about myself. Not know a thing about myself. Not know a thing about my woman, other than what she likes or dislikes. How she works, how she doesn't work, what her mind is going. He's programmed to go out and work. That's what he's programmed to do. Provide. They have their story, they carry on. He hasn't got a clue about who he is outside of that. He knows what he likes, he knows what he's drawn to. She knows what she's like, she knows what she's drawn to. But the deeper soul mission that they're supposed to go on, the religion hasn't taught them how to do that.
And
the religion is telling you that you're going to burn in hell or go to whatever place where you don't have a physical body to do it, but still people take it on.
Yeah, I kind of remember realizing, hold on, if one's body, not if you haven't got a body, how can you physically burn? You know, in hell.
You left your body here. How can you physically burn unless your spirit can burn? But nothing talks about your spirit.
No, it's
nothing covers that, and the details
of
what
carnal.
People,
yeah,
the details of what people are going through, what they're suffering. It's not covered.
That's right.
It's just not covered. So
they're telling us that we're in hell right here. You know, right here is the hell. Because of the fear. Because of the fear that's been imported.
But they say this is also heaven.
For those who's imported the fear into the people.
There's that aspect as well. But I love to ask the question: if tomorrow you had your version of heaven, what would you do?
And what does it look like?
In fact, it's a very confusing question, because you realise all of a sudden the person never thought about it.
No.
All they thought about was being good or bad.
To get the heaven that they're going to get when they die.
Exactly. What kind of concept is it? If you don't have a situation where you have the people around you, the life around you, the buildings, and this, if this is all that you've known, and then you go down and sit on clouds and drink milk and cook, honey and what have you, would you not be bored after a day? How are you not bored now watching a TV program every day or watching this? We're in such a sort of reality that we constantly need stimulation. Then you go there and there's nothing, and there's nothing tomorrow, nothing the next day, and nothing. Who's running to go and do that?
It's not making sense.
See the concept was written for a simpler people at a simpler time. Now the concept doesn't hold up. So people's version of heaven, they wouldn't have a clue what they would do or what they would want.
And I think as well, when you say that, as you just said, for simpler people, I think it was provided, it was given to simplify the mind of people, to dumb people down.
It was done to appease, as you said. Everyone has a question why, and basically they wanted to make sure that question why was covered before you asked it, and given a version of it that was tainted with a little bit of fear, so you didn't ask too many questions. The ancient African ways, the ancient indigenous ways covered all these subjects that we're speaking of. They understood these energies. They understood why a certain pattern would be repeated within someone. They understood the ritual of what sex was and all that kind of thing. They understood all these things. So they wouldn't, this is why they would protect their daughters, protect this, protect that. Don't get me wrong. There was obviously bad behavior where people did the wrong thing, and obviously different other energies coming in. And when we speak of these energies coming in, all of a sudden, whoa, you're talking. No, this is something which people face every day in their lives. When they're struggling, having an argument within themselves what to do. If you're the only one, that would mean that you'd never be unsure, because no other voice would be telling you that you could be wrong. Such a simple thing. But people don't go and investigate it beyond what they've been told. Someone says, oh, you're hearing voices, you should be locked up. But before you open your mouth, you have to discuss what you're saying is correct with somebody. Or with something. Another voice goes, yeah, you can say that. You sure? Yeah, okay, I'll say it. Who was you talking to? So we're in a reality where the most obvious thing that we do every day, we don't even know how, and we're looking outside for all these answers, the problems that are going on within us. So, as we're in a situation now where these things going on in relationships. Before you got into relationships, the olden days, they would check whether that person's okay, stable, is the energy in them good, bad, what have you. Someone would be able to tell you. But now, someone would tell you, no, I love him. Okay. You go with your love. You know? Oh, it looks good. Look at the thing on that. I can't miss that. You got to go with what you know. When the problems come and those situations come and you're sitting there like, whoa, how did I end up in this? It was that very first decision when you didn't actually want to listen.
You know,
you got ended up in this. Go on.
As you say that, what is going on there? Is it the soul has come to, is it the soul wounds, the hole in the soul that this person is trying to fill? Or is it bad programming? Or is it a bit of both? What is actually going on when we perpetually keep seeming to self-destruct?
Well, in truth, one, you are designed to self-destruct from when you're young. The fact that one person they told you not to trust or doesn't speak the truth is yourself, then you was constantly outside looking for advice from people who basically went out of their way to make sure you didn't trust yourself. So therefore, they never had your best intentions at heart. They was always trying to create a sort of slave mentality mental where you were depending on them to give you guidance how to live your life.
Yeah.
And they created a society where you can't survive without being in their game. So you was never designed to actually do anything for yourself. And the problem with all the different religions is they ask you in law of attraction, all this kind of stuff. They ask, whatever. I don't care for that. But you're asking for things in an illusion that can't help you. So if tomorrow you got the car, or got the house, or got the partner that basically filled your fantasy, because if you knew who you was, you wouldn't ask for these things. Because you would know that these things wouldn't balance you. It's like someone saying, I'm sick. I'm going to go, and I'm sick based on something I done. But I'm going to go over there and try and ask for some medicine. But I know what I done. I can fix it. But I'm not going to try and fix it. I'm going to see if their medicine can fix me without me having to fix my own problem. People don't want to deal with their own selves. They don't want to deal with their own situations. They'd rather have someone else come and do it for them. They would have someone else to blame for why they're not happy. When they know why they're not happy, but they don't want to deal with that.
All right. Brother Edison, you've kind of gone into it already, because my next question was going to be around religion, spiritual, ancestral, celestial essence, and curses. Can you take all that and give us something? Because what I'm feeling is, when we say something like somebody's been cursed, and then somebody else might say, okay, the religious person will say somebody's been cursed, yeah, or the devil. Then the religious person say the devil. Spiritual people might say curse. Somebody who's a psychologist or a psychotherapist might say, negative thoughts, negative thinking. So I wonder if you could wrap something with all that lot in there that can, again, sort of, because as you just said, that is so true. People don't want to do the work they want to take, they want to take the easy way. They want someone to do the work for them.
Magic pill,
Yeah,
isn't
the
it?
magic pill. Yes.
Yeah.
So, as you said, most of us have been, a lot of us have been given imported religions that are kind of hasn't got no nutrient in it, hasn't got no power in it. You can't make anything happen with it. You're just begging and pleading and saying I'm a wretch and I don't deserve very much, and you're cursing yourself. You're literally cursing yourself. So give us, because I want us to be now looking at how we can get back into our proper state of mind, because it's like, from what we're looking at, we're in our wrong mind. We're not in our right mind. How can we get back to our right mind?
Cool, you don't ask the easy ones, do you? All right. Oh, so right. Yeah, well, I asked what the weather like. That's a bit easier. No, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. The fact is, we are in a position right now where we're trying to heal ourselves with a method that won't actually get us very far. We have a simple saying: is your body sick, or is your soul or spirit sick? The problem is your spirit has collected a lot of situations over many lives, and each new life is trying to repair the situations that it encountered in the previous lives. So each opportunity is a new way of you to reinvent yourself and go through situations where you're dealing with people that you may have hurt, you paid a debt. You're going through different situations where last time you did the wrong thing, this time you do the right thing. You're literally trying to balance the energy of who you are so that you now generate and bring towards you better situations and better life paths. So you have a situation now where, unfortunately, because you didn't come to this world with religion. No baby in the womb is born any religion. It's just born a baby. Right. And it comes here and straight away is slapped on an identity on it. You're a this, you're a that, you're a this.
It's funny when you say slapped. They
slapped on the backside, isn't it? They said,
and
depending on the country that you're born in, they're going to give you a name that matches that religion. So straight away, you're in a scenario. I saw the other day a Muslim guy. I got nothing against the religion, but I was watching a father teaching a son how to pray and how to bow down. So in that respect, that whole transference of understanding or belief is put into that child.
From a very early age, yeah.
From a very early age. Now his father, the one person that he's going to trust first, is the one doing it. So straight away, you're in a scenario where that child now is not going to be told that his own spirit is more important than the religion that his father is teaching him. So he's going to go through that and continue that cycle, and it becomes a beautiful tradition. But unfortunately, the actual essence of that child, the actual essence of that person's being, is already caged in a story. It's caged in a scenario now where it has to now bow down to an idea, to an energy, to a concept, which is literally, I'm a slave to that concept. I'm a slave to that situation now. So you're born a slave. The other side of the coin, you're born in sin. So therefore, before you've even got here, you owe somebody something already. And you've got to try and fix what you didn't create because someone slapped something on you to say, slapping again, no slapping. Anyhow, someone has put something on you where essentially someone's put something on you where you now have to work through something which you didn't create. Now, the simple origins of these things, where you can see based on the slave trade and all this kind of thing, these religions were introduced to different people around the world. And due to the wars that these religions had to fight for land, so that now these religions have fought for land so that they have the opportunity to teach the children of those lands, those religions, as soon as they come out of the womb. So therefore, the power of those energies are sustained through generations and generations, because so before the child has a chance to be, it's already something else. So when you're trying to actually achieve your soul mission, you have to do it through the eyes of something or through rules that won't get you to where you need to go to.
Yeah.
So when we speak of the ancestors, we're speaking of be it Africa, all of these different traditions back in their own places before there was any of the imported ones, the three major imported ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to Eastern Europe, they were their ancestors and they were nature people. You go to India, before it was called India, wherever it was called, the same ancestors. China, the same ancestors. Africa, the same ancestors. England, the same ancestors. Everywhere, the same ancestors. If there was no option of religion, this would be the religion that people would naturally be, independent of them actually meeting each other. They didn't go around and try and conquer everyone and say, you must all worship your ancestors. Everyone knew that the first person they worship is their mother and their father. And
But
those fathers and mothers tried to live up to being someone to be proud of, to be worshipped.
But that's...
Well, now go ahead.
Yeah, no, go on.
Well, now the parent isn't thinking, I want to be someone for my child to be proud of.
It's still the same thing. Let's chase money.
Exactly.
Let's chase stuff outside.
Let's chase this. Let's chase excitement. Let's chase something. Because the person was robbed of who they were at childbirth. So the child became what the outside world said they should become. And therefore, this is a land of entertainment. It's not a land of sole purpose anymore. People come here to be entertained. You know, if it be in a relationship, the woman wants a guy who's going to take her out, buy fancy things, take her to nice places, and enable her to live the story. The guy's going to want a woman that's going to look like this, look like that, and do this and do that. You know, the actual purpose of them in being in a relationship outside of entertainment is something that they're not even educated to understand anymore. The simple fact that you're supposed to inspire your woman and your woman is supposed to inspire you to become a better soul person is being lost in the West. So if the woman's not doing everything in the house, the guy says, I'm looking for something new to do what with? The woman says he's not providing enough. I'm looking for someone else to do what with. Go through that same cycle again, where you have all the external stuff, but you still don't have the joy inside yourself. All you've done is appease the fears that you have. So, that said, getting back to your old soul and all this kind of thing, you'll start to understand the ancestors, the people that talk to you, the ones that have that conversation with you all the time whenever you're having those internal conversations. They're always trying to help you to remember who you are. Because the truth is, your future is in your past. In all your original incarnations before you actually got here, once upon a time, you wasn't as contaminated as you are now. You was in your purest form. And over the many lives that you lived, you took on different stories, situations, what have you, and kind of contaminated yourself. You know, it's not terrible. You wanted the experience and what have you.
Of course.
But then you get to a point where you stop.
Enough is
and
enough.
And then you said, enough is enough. And then you go back on the other cycle where now you're trying to redeem the past bad that you did. So when you see these people running around careless, don't do that, you know that's a young soul on the way up to the point where they now face themselves and they say, hold on, I've been bad for so long and it hasn't benefited me. All the things that I've acquired, I've lost. And now I'm being felt with the guilt of all the actions I did to acquire it. But I don't actually have the things anymore.
Yeah.
So this isn't a good life. This isn't a good story. So over a time, you come back on yourself. And then you get to the point where you realize, I can't live like this. I better start living good. The problem is, all the stuff that you did in the past that was bad is now catching up with you in your good lives. So when do you say, why do bad things happen to good people? Because once upon a once bad, and then karma's coming back to catch them.
That's right.
So this becomes a circle of things. So essentially now, each lifetime is a new opportunity to clear off what you did in your previous ones. You'll start to realize that when you get on a deeper level, all this happening outside of you is very temporary. And all this, I want to fight for this, I want to fight for that. You're going to die, you're going to come back in the next lifetime, and it's just going to be changed hands.
Fighting,
you know? Yeah. And another people will be in control. If someone studied history, they would see that the people in control now will only been in control for a little while. And then they're going to die off, and the situation will be reversed, and someone else will come and take control. Everyone has their turn. Everyone has their turn. So therefore, you're sitting there worried about a situation where the people will burn themselves out with their own greed.
That's right.
That's what will happen. So, you know, your fight should be about you. If you can't walk, you can't carry anyone. And if you can't walk because you're mentally sitting down in your own head, your spirit is asleep and now is slave to the body and the mind, then you could have acquired all the riches in the world, all the fame, all the story, but you didn't evolve 1 inch. You got to come back and do it all over again. Because you didn't come with your mission. You came and just entertained yourself and probably collected a load of karma on the way,
top,
which has made your issue twice as bad the next time you come back.
That's it. The next time you're going to start even lower and harder than before.
No, you're going to choose a harder life.
Because that's the only way to appease the whole thing, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. You got to go through more crap. There's no point getting a life where you're all fantastic and everything is great, because you're just going to create debt in that life.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to pick a harder life, which means that you've got to come through more stuff, and you pay more stuff off quickly.
Because, you know, as you say, it's just like being in debt financially. You know, if you keep running, it just gets bigger and grows. Whereas if you turn around and say, look, let me start paying this thing off, it starts to go, you know, you start to lose, you know, it starts to change, and you're improving, you're you know.
That's right.
Wow, this is such deep stuff, Brother Edison. I never, you know, you never fail to deliver the wisdom. And I you know, yeah, we've covered so much. This is just one topic. Can you believe it? 2.5 hours on one topic. It was just about relationship and how different aspects of our lives affects the relationship, including, you know, religion. And I love the fact that we sort of went into, you know, the spiritual aspect, who we should be aspiring to be.
It's all spiritual. It's all spiritual, unfortunately. And the fact is, people, the external expression is a manifestation of the spirit. So the spirit inside is the intelligence forcing the external expression. So that's really what it is. You know, people are sitting there thinking, yes, I physically got this, I physically got that. If your spirit is asleep, you're joking.
You have nothing.
Because you're not actually going to move anything or change anything, and you've got everything in name or label. You know, it's good, don't get me wrong. You work hard, you do what you have to do, An honest person doing an honest job is a fantastic thing. An honest, but again, pay attention to the science, pay attention to what's going on, and try and evolve yourself.
As you said that, an honest job, and you look around at this world and you see that, as we were saying, this world, half the world has hijacked the other half to take the wealth and what have you, and now they're setting themselves up as, they are the civilized and, kind of, the sort of good, wholesome, decent, everything's been, all the T's are crossed and all the all the I's are dotted. Can a nation, or can a whole, can a whole group of people live on that premise of we are doing everything by the book, when the book that they're writing, that they're reading from, started off in a very negative way?
Well, the truth is, partially you're answering your own question. The fact is, the architects of this reality, or the architects of any reality, this is something born out of many centuries, where these guys have literally put together every facet of what a person could want, from cradle to the grave. So they've covered everything. And in honesty, again, it's not everyone in the country that is rich.
No, of course.
When someone creates a national identity, it's to suit their purposes, because they've got people fighting to be, yes, we're this, we're that, we're this, but they're not receiving the benefits of what this is. Only the very few at the top actually receive the majority of the benefits. The rest at the bottom are helping them to keep that. Yeah, so when you appreciate how Africa was carved up, and the places like Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, all these different countries are no more than 100 years old as a concept. Yeah? So these people are individual, they're not countries. They were, again, individual tribes.
Well, they actually, from what I understand, when they did the cutting, they actually kind of mixed tribes. They cut people. They didn't even, because they weren't intelligent of what was going on. They weren't intelligent that we had our own religion, we had our own culture and everything. So they just mixed. They even sort of cut into where tribes were. So they didn't realise, had no understanding that people had their own way of doing things.
No, they wouldn't, because again, you can imagine they don't understand the language.
No.
So therefore, the language is something which, if 20 people, language is only sounds you can recognize. Language is describing an image. So effectively, if I'm saying a table and I say it in a different language, you're not going to recognize that I'm talking about a table, because you don't have a memory of that sound corresponding to the word table. So if you've got a situation where there's 100 people saying 100 different sounds for table, you wouldn't know they were talking about a table at all. So how would you be able to differentiate that they're different people? But in all honesty, a lot of these ideas have been romanticized. But the people of the time didn't know what was going on. They knew what was going on. And they actually are a lot more clever and devious, or not devious, a lot more clever than people gave them credit for. And people in a place called Africa, because it wasn't called Africa back then, anyhow, those people were clued up with what was going on. Unfortunately, the story is told in a couple of minutes now, because that is the version of what's transpired. Because, as you know what they say about history, isn't it? The lie agreed upon. So therefore, the lie that the victors are the ones that always write the history.
Yeah, his story.
His story.
His side of the story.
He's the one that writes his side of the story, and they never ever make the captives, or the ones that they've caught, or even taken over, or not even taken over in some situations. But they will tell the version that is best
that serves them
use to
best.
control the people that is underneath them, you know? So again, sadly, the true version of events will never really know. And the actual spiritual side of it, and like we say, those traditions were written for the people of that land. So once those traditions are taken off or, you know, watered down, the people lose the connection they have with that land. And they lose the connection that they have with the land, which is their body. So they lose a connection to themselves, and now they're working against themselves or working with traditions that have no need for them to be themselves.
That's right.
Yeah, so this is where you have a situation now where people are lost because they can't find themselves. They're searching for themselves, but they're searching for themselves in books not written about them. Yeah,
Yes.
so you could read them books all day and start to claim these people are us and this people are that, because you don't know who you are. If you know who you are, you would know first thing, your people weren't into the books, that part of the world.
Yes.
They were tribes that were dealing with themselves.
That's right.
You know, I keep wondering how the people from whatever the Bible stories all went to West Africa. Because that's where the most of the slaves were taken from, and all of a sudden we're descendants from them, and people are creating stories to link us to that. Why can't we be proud of where we came from? The reason why they're not proud of where they came from is because those places are deemed to be poor.
So it comes back to money again.
Money again, because people do not want to be associated with a label that has no money.
Wow.
That's really what it is. It's always about the money.
Wow.
Yeah? And when they don't appreciate the riches of the intelligence and the understanding of that people, they say, what can I do with the riches? Eat? I said, no, you can't. Take the money and eat. It's not till you realize how poor you are. You understand that you should have taken from those people that had riches for who you were. But that's how it goes. We're going to chase the money, follow the money, until we realize at the end, this money ain't real.
Well, this is the thing. It really, you know, I think, you know, one of the things is why, you know, there's billions of people on the planet. Why can't billions of people say, hold on, somebody somewhere has created this thing called money, put heads of deceased people, notables on there, and we are now chasing that. We're now using our life force to chase this bit of paper. And, you know, why can't we have our own concept of, you know, why can't we create our own value system?
In truth, like we said, the fact is we're restricted to what the media or medium or those people that realize, you know, meditate, you know, that whole Emmy, you realize that it's literally someone wanting to control your mind anyhow. But what we listen to them, so the version of history or life or reality is based on what they say to us. This is why the internet and different things like that are fantastic, because now you can get a true story of what transpired as opposed to the media outlet or the news.
But you know what's interesting? It's funny, I was talking to somebody about this very thing about the media and how I remember when I first started going on the internet, how there was hardly any adverts and things like that. But you see, these people, what they do, they follow you around. It's like you can't get away from the programming. You walk out on the street, the billboards are all over the buses, the billboards, you know, the adverts are all over the buses, the billboards have got advertising on it. And if some of the images, if you sort of look into them, you can see, because they understand about symbology, don't they?
Exactly.
Even when you go into the city of any place, they've got the statues and the symbols, heavy symbols, because they know how that symbols, we work with that more than quickly than words. Images, we work with that more quickly than words.
No, I remember reading a book that was written probably in the 50s, if not early, called Hidden Persuaders by a guy called Vance Packard, I think it is. And literally, he broke down how it is that advertising is used to get you to actually give up yourself or give up your thinking towards a certain idea.
Sure.
And those proposals, where the classic one would be in a Lynx advert, where you'd see a young boy put on the spray and he would walk around and all the women would gravitate
Flock
towards him.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not selling the scent. They're selling the aspect of the women gravitating towards the man.
Yes.
And he's thinking, with this, I'm going to get that event take place. Not the scent, not the smell. So like all things, they'll show you progressive things like that. And the same thing, they'll show you that someone uses something else and everyone walks away from that person.
Yes.
So everyone will show their displeasure. And then again, they put that concept in your head. If I do this, everyone's going to walk away from me.
And so you don't want that, because people don't like to, people, want to be part of, not be segregated from.
Exactly. So the innate desires that you want out of life, they use those things as avoidance, attraction. They use those things to advertise what they've got to advertise.
That's right.
So again, these guys back then were working really hard to find different ways in which the mind works. So therefore, like you say, you can walk out. I think that Darren Brown has shown how literally he can get you to come and make a decision based on him planting certain objects at certain times along your route to actually get there.
Yes.
So therefore, you're driving along and all these images are being presented. Does no one ever think about how they drive along and every road has trees? Every road has trees on both sides.
I never thought about that, no.
No, because they literally designed it that there's a bit of nature there behind all this concrete, what have you. So you're literally walking around in a designed external reality. Yeah? Trees along every road, everywhere you go. What?
That's powerful. Never thought about that. So
everything is designed. Everything is designed. So therefore, your mind has nothing but to get up, go to work, do a good job, bad job, whatever, come back, have enough money to pay the rent, do all of that kind of thing, and literally keeps you locked so that you don't have time to think about yourself, and not just what you're going to do for yourself, you, the spirit self. They give you church on Sunday so that appeases your spirit self, or mosque or whatever external religion, but they don't say sit down with you, listen to yourself, and trust what you think in your own mind. That is the last thing anyone's going to say, because once you become independent of the outside world, you don't have to follow it. You realize that this is folly. You realize that there's nothing at the end of that rainbow or that idea. And you can get on with yourself and do what you can. When there was enough people that got on with themselves and did what they needed to be, guess what? No one would want to participate in the game. And people would realize that if they stopped playing the game would have to come back and capture them. They would have to do something. The game would have to turn around and say, hold on, we only survive on you playing our game. If you walk away, we've got nothing. We can't work. Yeah, I love that story of how in America, that whole concept of, with the bus, and the black people weren't allowed to actually sit on the bus or sit on a certain part of the bus.
The back,
The back. And what they actually did, where as a whole group, they decided not to actually travel on the bus.
Boycott the bus, yes.
And they all walked to their work. They didn't show how powerful that was. They all walked to their jobs, and none of them used the bus, because you could force them. They all got to their jobs. They did their jobs, but none of them got on the bus. And the bus company lost so much money from those people not traveling on the bus, they changed the rules.
That's right. They had to.
So therefore, the people's power was just not to play. If you don't play, they're going to have to come and give you money, or because they can't afford you not to play.
That's right.
They need you to be playing in the game, to be paying attention. If you don't do that, they're stuck. They can't do anything.
But that's the problem. People don't realize how powerful they are.
Exactly.
We don't realize that we are, you know, we talk about the Queen and the heads of state, but we're really the sovereign. We are the sovereign because we, you know, we are spirit. We are one with spirit. We are co-creators with spirit. And when we realize that, and we, like you say, and when we realize that when things aren't working, when things are being done, you know, unjustly, if we step back and if we lose our appetite for things of this world, then, you know, they can't hold us bound. But
They
that's why they
can't.
got the symbols, and that's why they got the adverts, and that because
That
they
they've
know.
got to be constantly programming
Yes,
you. They
yes,
constantly got to be
they
programming
can't
you
stop.
to not to be apathetic to what they're trying
Yeah,
to do to you, and they've got to keep telling you that no matter what we do, there's nothing you can do against us,
yeah.
and that's really what it is.
Bob Marley said again, you know, how can I stop when the man who is trying to, you know, do evil on on this planet isn't taking a day off? How can I take a day off?
Yeah, you can't take a day
No,
off. The
you
devil
can't.
doesn't take a day
No.
off, not one day. He
That's it.
doesn't take a day off.
No.
You know, he's literally planning for years in advance.
Oh my
You know,
God.
so
Hundreds
it's
of
one of
years.
those
Yeah.
things. It's incredible, but again, one day you get to the point where you say, it's enough. You can all do what you want to do. I'm going to stop and I'm going to play my own game. So I can do what I need to do, work in your game, do what it is, but I own myself because I own my mind. And once you own your mind, you're not stressed by it. You let them get on and do what they got to do, because you know, like a child that literally is trying to break things for your attention. Oh, so you can tell the child off. That's what it's like.
Brother Edison, we've got 9 minutes before the third hour. Right. What I want to know is, can you tell us where you, what have you got? What events have you got lined up? How can people contact you? How can people get in contact with you if they want to have a spiritual talk with you about their situation, their relationship with themselves, or their relationship with their partners or whoever? How can people get hold of Brother Edison?
Well, again, I'll leave the relationship side with you. That's your remit, and that's what you do. Get involved in that situation. That's a minefield, because the real dynamic, as I understand, for those relationships, something totally. You know, you go into the whole person, their connection. Do you have past lives with this person? Whatever situation is going on, and you know, the thing is, people lie. But that's it. Let's get into the point where we're actually talking about. I can be found on Ancestral Essence on Facebook. We've been running various courses, or called Know Thyself, and we're literally trying to create an online presence as well. We've done a video that's going to be out soon, just now, where we're going to put that online, which is going to go through our first class, which is the importance of ancestral connection, which goes into a couple of the concepts we've mentioned today. But we're looking to put out a series of videos where we can start to introduce these concepts of how you empower yourself. We're not really about following any religion, following any tradition. You'll find that once you make a connection with your inner self, you've got a lot to say. You've been the one who's been sort of guiding yourself throughout your life with your ancestors. So we want you to get to the point where you can now reinforce that relationship within yourself. So you can now start to move outside of any system, because you realize that every system is just a prison to who you are. So you can find us on Facebook. There you should be able to, if you scroll through the pages, see courses that we've had and find my telephone number, and you can call or leave a message, and we'll basically get back to you as quick as we can. We're trying to expand slowly, but we're doing it within the context of what we're guided to do. You know, we're not pushing for the money per se, even though, again, you know, we are trying to keep ourselves going. But at the same time, we'd rather say more than less, because I'm at the point where I've been through so many situations where, you know, people are trying to hold back. I understand they're trying to make a living, they're trying to do whatever they mind to do, but right now, people are being slaughtered just because they don't know. And it's not that the information isn't known, it's just that people want to hold on to it. So there's no point everyone sinking around you and you being the smartest one there.
That's
You're
right.
going to be by yourself.
Exactly.
So we will try and let it out as much as we can, say more than what we should. So again, look out for us. We'll be online. You'll see our courses float about. Please, you know, buy the videos. We are going to try and do more courses physically where people can come, and those things are quite different. You know, as much as the videos are very good, and they will tell you in the class you can ask me any question, and these things can go on to 4 or 5 hours, because literally we get caught up with spirit like we're talking now, and we'll go through everything. You know, there's nothing we try and avoid, and we can go into a lot more than we generally say. Today was really just us explaining the basics. We try and get the basics first, so you can build on that, build on that, build on that. And the more that you understand those concepts, the deeper that you go within yourself, and you will start to bring out your information and bring out your ideas and bring out your reasoning, because all these things we've said, you probably all thought of before at one time. You just didn't really have the dots to connect them all together, and this is what we're trying to do over at well, my page is Ancestral Essence, but we will find Know Thyself courses. That's what we're trying to do, and to push it all around. Well, we're in London, England at the moment, but we're going to try and take it as far as we possibly can. Okay. Amani, thank you for the opportunity. I always enjoy talking to you, and these 3-hour conversations kind of cover a lot of ground. I think we've kind of said so much today, it will take a little while for it all to digest. But
Oh God, sure.
the aim is there, and the intention is there, and all I really want is people to be a better version of themselves, not through what I say, through what they actually go through themselves.
And
they can
find
take on their soul mission.
Yes.
You got to take the mission you came here to do, because you can amass everything you like, but you can't take it with you, only your deeds and what you understood.
Indeed, indeed. And that's so powerful, the way, you know. And I love the fact that you mentioned that it's about opening these courses that you're setting is like keys, opening people up to their own, you know, so they too can go off and, you know, open up their own inner wisdom and, you know, share that to help others. So each one is being like a key to unlock the other one. And that's
each
beautiful.
One teach one. This is really what it is, because you can't know everything as one person. Everyone has got their legacy of understanding. Everyone has got their legacy of wisdom that is down in their blood generation, going back as far as the beginning of time. And that stuff isn't lost. It's still there. It's all within you to come up when you go searching inside yourself for this. It's not as hard as you think, because again, it is literally thinking, because all you're doing is just asking for deeper knowledge to come up within you. So yeah, no such thing as impossible. It's literally all within you, and it's all about you. It's only ever been all about you. It hasn't been about everyone and everything else. These are ideas that you've attached to and you've now given your power to, but these ideas can't protect you, because you still have to go back and deal with yourself, irrespective of wherever you go. You still have to come back and deal with you, because you're the only one that can heal that wound.
For sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. Beautiful. Okay, so but the Edison, we talked about relationships and covered everything, and also very quickly before you go, you're taking part in co-authoring a book on love and relationship. Do you want to, the last couple of minutes, do you want to touch on that for people?
Well, yes. You've got more details about the name and love and relationship. My topic is regarding spiritual love. We're going to go into some of the subjects we spoke about today, but obviously in a written version. We're going to go into past life relationships. Why it is that you find this person irresistible, you can't help it. Why it is that you will meet certain people in a crowd and automatically know that you're connected to this person. I need to speak to this person. The fact that you don't have one soulmate.
Yes.
You have many. And soulmates are merely just mates that you had in previous lives. It's nothing complicated, and it can be guys and women. So it doesn't always have to be of a sexual nature.
Yes.
So it could be just two friends meeting up and continuing an old conversation. So yeah, we're going to just try and cover the aspects and cover the holes as into why relationships are really just the meeting of souls and the merging of souls, as opposed to and all the physical aspects are outside are really entertainment, but these energies have to meet, merge, become one, and then move on, release themselves. Yeah.
For sure.
The mating takes place at the spirit level, and then the people release and move on and go and do what they got to do with other energies. Yeah. It's not just one energy, and it's not just always sex. Like I said, you could have a telephone conversation that is as deep as any sex that you might have. Yeah? And in truth, it's more intrusive because you're processing that person in a physical sense, but at the actual mental sense, you're processing spirit to spirit.
That's right.
You know, you're merging that person and processing them in the center of your mind. So that's as deep as it gets. So again, you know, you just have to be, we're just trying to make as many people aware of what they're actually doing in this reality so that they can choose their options better.
They can be conscious of what they're doing as opposed to falling into old patterns that keep, pushing them, bringing them back here.
Exactly, and this is it. People keep saying, I don't want to come back.
No.
But they're not doing anything to stop them coming back.
Yeah.
They're doing everything
to bring
that
yourself.
will do it.
I know.
Saying it don't make it so, I'm afraid.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have you got any last words for anyone? I can't think what else, because you've given so much, but knowing you have got some last words that you want to leave with the people.
Okay. In regards to the relationship, the most important relationship will always be with yourself. If that is a bad relationship, ultimately every relationship you have will be deemed to not be very good. I won't say fail, it can be okay, but you need to have that relationship where you understand yourself, you work through the situations and events that you've had. If you want to make someone else responsible for you being happy, then essentially you're not being fair to them, and you're not being fair to yourself, because you're embarking on a journey where you will not arrive at your destination. Yeah, so in honesty, as they say, be your own best friend. Don't be harsh on yourself. Never be harsh on yourself. Whatever you did with the best of your knowledge at that time. If you can repair it, fine. If you can't, you'll have another lifetime to do it. Unfortunately.
People are like, no!
They want another lifetime.
I don't want to. I can't even take this one.
The thing that you have to remember, and this is why, at the end of the day, once you appreciate the fact that you are an immortal, only your body can die. Your spirit can never die. That's why your spirit has no fear of traveling into these lives and going through all the situations. It doesn't know fear. They had to teach you fear and keep you in fear as a way of literally just making you circumnavigate, you not being able to hear your own higher self properly.
That's right.
You can't die because your spirit is who you are. So if you know that, there's no to be afraid. When you're in a bad place, you're in a bad story place. Because the story that you now believe is you is where you're living. And guess what? You've lived in other lives, other stories and bad stories before you got up and survived, which means that you're more choosing the bad stories to go and live in. And if it's a case where you are forced in it and all this kind of thing, yeah, but again, you know how it is when you start looking for a solution arrives. If you start looking for someone else to provide a solution, you got twice the work, because not only does the person have to come, they have to come with the right solution.
That's right. That's right.
So you really just have to get up and do what you need to do for yourself as soon as you can. Yeah? So yes, that is my parting words. Be your own best friend. And you know, as you're saying, what's the other saying? Be yourself, because everyone else is taken.
I love that.
I like that one.
You
It's
might as
what
well.
I've
You've got
always
no
kept that
choice. Yeah.
No choice.
No
So,
choice at all.
So literally, that's it. Amani,
Brother
thank
Edison,
you very much again. Yeah?
thank you for sharing the wisdom again with
Oh,
us.
no. This is, I never take claim of
you
it.
have again
I
adjusted.
never take claim of it. It's my ancestors. It's not me. I don't want to.
Thank you for
take
being
claim
the,
for it.
and as I said to you, I think on you, thank you for being the conduit. That
Yes.
allowing yourself to be the conduit, because that in itself, you know, that takes work, and that is, you know, if without conduits like yourself, the knowledge wouldn't get to the people. So
Everyone is one, you know me. Everyone has the capacity to
be
do
a
it.
yes.
They just got to trust themselves.
But then
Yeah.
you are sharing the knowledge. That is what it's about. You are unlocking that fear. False evidence appear in real, I think, so that they can access and feel and realize, you know, oh my God, I'm this spirit that is not fearful of anything. I created everything, so how can I be frightened?
We talk about that in the class. Anyhow, yes.
That's another 3 hours, isn't it?
You don't do that. You know, each class is 4 or 5 hours, and we've got 10 of them.
Oh
so no, don't start that. We'll go into a whole different set of things again. No, Imani, it's been fantastic. And
thank
I can't
you
remember
so
what we
much.
started talking about in the beginning. One question, eh?
No,
okay.
Leads to so many. We just we started with one question, and out of that was born many, many, many more. Thank you, Brother Edison.
Excellent. Thank you, Imani. Speak soon.